Boom. Sup, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny for the best gaming podcast, number 565. I didn't remember that. I had to look it up. 565. And the first of the
Happy New Year.
2026. Yeah, you too. 2026, man. We're here. What do you think? Better or worse than 2025 for games?
Yeah, I guess we'll only...
Time will tell.
We'll have to see. Only time will tell. I am excited, but I don't get like New Year excited. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because nothing really changes for me. More so, I'm like looking forward to some long projects like Crimson Desert, obviously GTA, like some of these big games finally turning in. See how they come out.
Dude, do you know what else I think? I think I'll just make my guess hard. It'll be worse, except for the GTA. If GTA gets delayed, we're in deep shit. Like if somehow it gets delayed again, I don't think 2026, I think it's got a couple games, but I think when you look at 2025, there were a lot of surprise titles, and I don't see many of the big titles that we saw, like an Expedition 33 capturing the market share in the discussion. I do not see that. I haven't seen anything. I haven't previewed anything that looks like, okay, that's what's going to hit. Crimson Desert could be great, could be delayed, could be really janky, and just one of those games that comes and goes. And we've had so many games that come and go, we forget, But I mean, look at Expedition 33. No one was really talking about it up until it came out. It was and it was a perfect storm of when it released, how it released. It was free to play for a lot of people on Game Pass. There was this sort of perfect storm. This year, from what I've seen, there's some good games coming, but I think also a lot of games are going to get delayed a lot. It feels like just looking at the industry.
I guess we didn't know in advance last year about Expedition, right? It wasn't really talked about.
Well, we knew it was coming out.
It just
for sure.
Did we?
Yeah, but I mean, you didn't see it, right? And go, oh, it looks amazing. But you did see, what I feel to be like a story that I thought the story was going to be more interesting because of the trailer. Because I thought the trailer did a good
I remember you making your video. I think it was like games for January or whatever, whichever month.
Man, that was
and I saw it there with the trailer, and it looked cool. But it wasn't
cool.
it wasn't predictable that it was going to be that big. And I'm hoping that this year it will be like
something along those lines.
Games, like games that can't be predicted to be big, but because every year seems like we think it's going to be a bit of a sleeper year, but then is that the right term? I mean, kind of a down year.
But I thought 2025 was going to be pretty big. But I will admit that I did because of GTA, because at that time, But I think a lot of games have released that were holding in 2024. Some came early back into 2025. I mean, there's always that possibility, but you can't have that every year. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it feels like just the way the cycle of games goes, looking at 2026. Hey, I mean, obviously I would love to be proven wrong. And it's not negative. It's just if we compare it to 25, which it had some awesome stuff coming, some excitement, and then ended up nailing it. But they also delayed a bunch of stuff to 2026. Again, Crimson Desert is another one. So hopefully Crimson Desert, wouldn't that be great to have like a, big explosion in Crimson Desert where it turns out to just be phenomenal?
Yeah.
And there are a couple shadow
Neo
drops.
3. There are some games that I think could be really big, if they nail it.
I hope Neo 3 nails it, because Neo 3, boy, is it, the heat is on. The heat is on. That game, there's a lot of tentativeness towards the way it looks, the choices they've made. Definitely the way it looks. I would agree with the way it looks thing. It definitely hasn't taken the step I think a lot of people were hoping. But we'll see, because I love Neo. So if there's any game out there that I'm excited for it.
But I think those games never really broke to the mainstream as much as something like Elden Ring. They were still kind of a niche with a pretty harsh learning curve and stuff like that put a lot of people off.
Yeah, true. What else? Let's see. 2026. Let me look. Let me bring up a little search pattern here and see.
Oh yeah.
What is coming out? What else that I'm missing? There's a lot of games that I'm not going to talk about for coming out for 2026 because they're nebulous shadow games where they've been, stated to come out since 2019. That kind of stuff. But we can definitely go over.
There was one that I'm curious, see what you think, which is High Guard. So this is the one, it was highlighted as the last title in the Game Awards show, and it was propped up as this.
It was propped up, all right.
It was propped up. What are your feelings? Because it does strike as yet another hero shooter,
right?
With maybe some cool new abilities. But
look at how many hero shooters just this 2025. Look at how many hero shooters have come and gone and just disappeared. Dude,
yeah.
I mean, we're starting to get to the point to where now it's just sort of funny if it wasn't sad. The number of hero shooters that have come and gone, or come and they're still out and you don't even know they came out, or they came out and they were here for a second. I think there was that one, I can't remember. I don't know. Some Twitch streamer released theirs. It came and went. Well, that was more of a shooter. Hero shooter being like, I guess what we would say is a third person Marvel style. Marvels did well. Marvels did well though, because of it's got the three things really. It's got pretty solid gameplay. It's got an IP that's established, and it is honestly fairly bug free. That's the baseline now. Remember in the past,
and they push a lot of content.
Game is okay, and they push a lot of content.
That's another one. Like it keeps people engaged because there are new heroes coming out. Like,
oh shoot. Capetta says the next car mechanic simulator is coming out too. Hopefully, hopefully. I love those. Forza Horizon 6 is going to be big. Yeah, whenever that comes out, Forza Horizon 6. Well, could be. My hope is it is, because there's really not any competition. The Crew came and went, and then the other game came and went. Spectre Divide. Is that the game that was by the Twitch guy debugging? But anyway, there's 2026, man. It looks a little barren, and also we'll talk about it right now. Oh, first, if you get a chance, check out the Discord, check out the Patreon, and make sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Next up. So when you look at 2026, there are some games going to die. Anthem, it's shutting down in the next couple days. Anthem, man.
Wait, that's still alive? Didn't they shut it down?
No.
Okay.
It felt shut down.
It's
but
like
it is pretty crazy.
Die Hard.
How long we've known each other, because we are now post not only the games are releasing, but the games failing and dying. Isn't like we've known each other. I've known you longer than a lot of my in-life friends, like my real life non-simulation, non-projected hologram friends.
Because we already knew each other for quite a while
before
Anthem comes out. There's the whole roller coaster of that, and then it's finally
it's been a crazy ride. The only thing that's stuck throughout this time is you and I. And I mean, like, or you and me and the people in the Discord, like everything is just a lot of things have come and gone, and that it's crazy to be this many post games. So it's been a sad time to hear. I mean, I wanted Anthem to rock. I like them. Well, I used to, really like them at one point, and the idea of a mech game, is awesome, but Avengers, wound down. Like all these games wound down, didn't do well at the time, and 2026 feels like it's going to be a year where a lot of these games shut down. And I don't even think that. I mean, you're already looking at Splitgate 2. That was in my description for the video. Yeah. Dude, Splitgate 2. You're talking to a freak. I loved Splitgate. I played it with Azraelin, with Takedown, with you, maybe, where we went and we played with the developers. Was that you? Might not have been.
I wasn't there. No. Okay. I never played that one.
Yeah. So Takedown, Azraelin, myself. There was one other. It might have been Abzy. We played that game, and it was the speed at which I like games, like the 2000% speed. It was like this awesome way in which the game sort of changed things up with the portals. And then we turn around, and now we're looking down the barrel of that one coming out of a second resurrection. So that game initially had a reboot, then had another reboot. And that second reboot is failing. Second reboot has like, I think the second reboot has 350 people playing. So we're just in dire shape, man. It's
yeah.
And then let's see. There's rumors of some Shadow Drops, Halo remakes, stuff like that, which might be cool. I'd love to jump back into a Halo.
Yeah.
Depending on the graphics and all that kind of stuff. Depending on if it's Master Chief Collection or if it's
talking about stuff we don't need. I'm just joking, but
that is sort of an agreement.
There is.
I mean, I want to play it, but I agree with you.
Yeah, there is a new climbing game coming out in January. It's called Cairn. Karn.
Rocky Precipice, I think is what that means. Karn. It's a place. It also has a religious thing to it.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. And they got shaky legs. So if you wanted to have a game,
that's the. It's what it would feel like really climbing if you were that high the first time simulator. Like, you'd be so scared up there, man, if that was your first time.
I bet that's pretty cool until it gets old, like 2 minutes in.
Mm-hmm. Grandmaster Gab says, funny about Splitgate, I wrote an article on that as part of a job application for a big gaming publication.
Oh.
Yeah, that's cool. The first, I'm assuming he means
cool
prior to the reload. But yeah, man, that came back twice. They tried to resurrect it 2 different times. That's the other thing, resurrections. Look at Greedfall 2. They're trying to not resurrect it, but they're trying to adjust it to be, good. And haven't got there yet. But I did read a couple articles recently that were saying it's got better. But isn't that the sad times? You're talking to somebody who thought Greedfall 1 was incredible. Up there with Vampire, maybe.
Okay.
But up there with Vampire, up there with Banishers. It was a unique world. And they went and they did exactly what is just stunningly not what you expect, which is to remove everything unique, which is so weird. We're going to go to an MMO style, like just weird ass game. And you're sitting there going like, what the fuck?
Diluted.
Yeah. How did that come up? How did you guys come up with that idea? It was a single player, amazing game to jump into and just phenomenal. And here we are staring down the barrel of that thing having to be resurrected. Boss Man, $50 super chat. Happy Friday in 2026, boys. Happy 2026, sir. And hopefully the laptop, if you got it, is good. He's in the market for a laptop. It's going to be, that's another tough thing, man. Guys, consoles, they're going to be hit on all sides, man. It's the RAM situation is big. Now there's the microprocessor situation. All these systems require chips, APUs in particular are tough. And consoles,
prices are going to keep going up.
And the huge GPUs, components. Every time you bought a console, you felt like you were getting current, like the games, especially the new ones when it was a big deal. It was like, boom, that was it. And we are at the echelon already. Maybe prior to the PS5 Pro, that's where we were. And then now every time you get one, we have to wait. It's almost like buying a video card where nothing really uses it. You buy a video card and you're like, not much is using this. So remember in the old days, man, you'd buy a 360 and the 360 was being used right then. You would get a game and you get the 360 or you get the Xbox and you were immediately, enticed with whatever. So, dude, you and Anti-Sky need to close down that love affair. I'm going to get complaints already. People be like,
we're just bros, man.
Johnny keep typing in the chat.
Just bros out there.
The difference between Twitch and YouTube is stunning. It is stunning too. That's another thing. So I was talking to some Twitch streamers yesterday. They're all going to the YouTube style, which I think is quite interesting. We're going to see how that goes. Some big Twitch streamers are going to treating Twitch streams like YouTube now. No longer are they going to have the emotes. They're not going to be talking in chat all the time. They're going to be like focusing on the game. And it's because a lot of PR companies and companies who want you to see the game, they love the audience, but they're like, listen, this is ridiculous. You're dancing or like, surprised face every 3 seconds.
80% of your stuff is around the chat.
And so we were in a Slack yesterday and the 3 of them completely separate, which was weird. In 3 different parts of a chat were like, so maybe there's a push from agents or maybe there's a push behind the scenes I'm not seeing that's like, companies management is looking at this. But many of them are probably going that way. And do you know what's interesting about that too? Those people will be unique on Twitch, which might help them a great deal. because they'll be unique. They'll be sort of doing it a different way, which might be a big help for somebody on Twitch who maybe has achieved whatever their limit is, whatever their top tier of viewers and stuff can be. So we'll just have to see how that goes, but it's very interesting to see how that's going to be. And then a lot of YouTubers are going Twitch style. I've seen a lot of more YouTubers going with like YouTube shorts, stuff like that, which is, you get a lot of views, but boy, it doesn't pay any bills. And it gets some subscribers though. It gets some subscribers. 350,000 views with $17. So if that was on,
man, it's so tough.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh, speaking of that, thanks to everybody who watched the preview. We got to cover a bunch about Exodus. That game looks, well, I don't know if I want to say looks because it's a little goofy looking graphically right now, but that game appears like it might be awesome. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, the idea of that you go and you come back and like your daughter's now grown up, maybe has a kid, depending on the trip.
Yeah.
The local system movement doesn't change time, but the farther, star jumps will. That could be very cool. And the fact that there's no aliens, they just look like aliens, which I found really weird. That's why I brought it up in the preview. Dude, in 40,000 years, humans have basically looked the same. Maybe we bashed a bunch of Cro-Magnon dudes on their head, but they all generally look like us. But in this world, 40,000 years has turned them into what you would consider to be aliens. I think a lot of it has to do with genetic splicing and, changing for the environments you may need. You land on a planet that needs fire, resistance. Maybe you have a different look and you make your race look a little bit different because of that. But, dude, and they got raven people. They got, like, bear smart bears. I guess you'd say smart ravens. I don't know. We haven't seen a lot of that. But I don't know if you saw the one picture in the video, but there's like a squid guy piloting a mech. There's like a octopus or a squid piloting in a mech. Yeah. So.
Well, there's an interesting element that here on Earth, we're quite cozy. Nature is not pushing us to test our fitness too much in that sense. So we don't really need to evolve past where we're at.
Yeah.
But if maybe the environment is super challenging, you do need to, eventually become a squid or something to be able to operate, in a harsh environment.
Yeah, because we have such a short, like 32 degrees will kill you. And above 110, well, if you're old, above 90
we're basically coddled.
Yeah.
By
everything is
the planet.
And we are really like there's some extremophile creatures that can do well, but a lot of creatures are like that on Earth in particular. I wonder if they would be like that on other planets. You go to another planet. We'll have to see how the games handle that, but I would love to see more games handle this kind of stuff where the time travel element comes into it. Because how many times do you go back and forth between places, and it's just like it gets a little bit tiring when you travel a bunch and time doesn't seem to pass for anybody. I mean, you traveled, or they always come up with a special like time gate. They're like, oh yeah, if you use this time gate, yeah, that'll you're going light speed +1, so therefore there's no time difference between anybody. And it's just sort of, I don't know, just sort of odd. We'll have to see how it's handled. I mean, there's jump gates in that game. You can tell they've got like the gate. I think they call it the Heaven Network in that game. What do you think of The Expanse? Because that one is coming out at some point here. I don't know if we have a date for that. Are you excited for The Expanse game?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what plot it's gonna follow. If it's gonna be
right when the aliens get on the space station.
Okay, then that would be exciting. That would be very cool.
Yeah, you're a part of a mercenary unit that was there for shore leave, and those alien things attack, and then, or they don't attack, whatever they do, turn humans into fucking celestial loving orbs of blue goo. Dude, Expanse got pretty creepy. Expanse had some body horror stuff, man. Like when they find the girl in the shower and she's got like coral reefs coming off of her, and you're like, wow.
Oh yeah.
It's not for me, man. I mean, I'd still bang her, but I mean, it's not for me normally.
I mean, we're not asking yes or no. We're just saying.
But I'm telling you, I want to make sure that this is in your memory. I would hot bang that. I get my shoulders.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm just dude, coral sharp. No, I wouldn't. I take it back. You'd cut yourself up. Looking here for 2026, Wolverine.
Yeah, I forgot about that. When is that Let me check.
It just says 2026. It doesn't really
yeah.
have the full thing. Beastie by Nature, $5 super chat. Thank you both for the board game recommendations. Been enjoying with the wife. Happy New Year's to you guys and your community.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. Yeah, board games. We smoked up some board games the last couple days too. Did I already tell you Oregon Trail?
No.
We played Oregon Trail. Died.
Oh, cool.
Just like you would think. Yeah. Played dysentery, people dying. It's actually pretty cool. You have passengers on a wagon, and each time you get hit or hurt or something happens, a passenger loses a bit of health. 6-sided dice, so they go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, die. And then as you go to different places, you can buy supplies, drop supplies if you have too many of something, you want something else. You have a shotgun and a pistol for firing. Very smart way of firing. Listen to this. There's a card deck of hunting animals, each with 1 to 6 on the face of the card. Somebody else looks at the card face and number, and you guess by putting a chit on 1 through 6 on your aiming device. If you get it exactly, you hit them. But the shotgun, because the shotgun in this game is double-barreled, if you put the chit between 2 numbers, 4 and 5, if it hits on either one of those, you get the meat. So it's a very easy way to aim. You're just like, 5, no. Okay, I didn't hit anything. 4, 5, if I use my shotgun, yes. And you take some free turns and then you move on. It's actually quite good, man.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's nobody else liked it, so we'll never play it again. But I did enjoy the one time we played it because it was fairly easy. Sometimes you get those games that are like, look at all our fancy shit, and you find out taking one turn is like 45 minutes. Of watching some jackass count out. The exact amount of.
But the game is just like you taking chip damage towards your death.
You flip down a
no
card.
Dice roll. Yeah, no dice roll is gonna give you a pizza party or like
I hate
enlightenment.
That shit. Some games can get rough. But anyway, back to Wolverine. So Wolverine, not impressed with what I saw. But as a non-superhero fan, that probably fits. I just need to see it up close more. They showed the on-rails, moments.
Yeah.
But they make good games, so I don't need to be too impressed. I mean, it's Wolverine, so some guys will be getting killed, which is going to be awesome. It's on rails in a way, or much more linear, which I don't have a problem with. Instead of being like Spider-Man, what would Wolverine do? Would he just drive his motorbike around fighting criminals? He'd kill them all, which wouldn't work. Spider-Man.
Yeah, what I was thinking is that there would be cutscenes taking you from like
place to place to
set piece to set piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's the way to do it. That dude says Expanse looks cool and Outcap makes some pretty good RPGs. Yes, they do, especially if you wait 2 years for them to get their shit together. Next up, Halo Campaign Evolved, the remake of Halo Combat Evolved, rebuilt with modern visuals and enhancements. I don't know about that one, man. Like, I am excited. I'll play it, but another Halo or another remake of a shooter. I feel like I've done 3 remakes of Halo already, or has it just been 2? The 360, maybe I just did backwards compatible one time. Feels like Halo. There's not much more you can do with Halo, just like not much more. David says, what do you guys think about Marathon from Bungie?
Yeah, it's very rough. It's extremely against all odds at this point.
Do you think it's against all odds they made something that rough? Or is it against all odds that it will, like, which part of that is at all odds?
That it would succeed. I think it's got all cards against it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they keep doing it. I always think that if they believed it was just going to tank, they would drop the project. I keep hoping that they know something we don't, or they're
Redfall
like really
says
confident.
Sorry. I get what you're saying, though. No, I get what you're saying. I'm just teasing. There's always going to be an example of the opposite.
Yeah, I always come back to that thing you say about like no dev is setting out to make a bad game.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Like I'm sure they're excited about, like at the granular level, like Bush guy is excited about what he's doing. And so I always like to bring it back to that and see what comes out.
Do you think hope is failing us? Do you think the hope of a game doing well because of like a Cyberpunk's 5-6 year finally good to play arc is causing not everybody, because we've seen games come out and or be canceled, right, even though we know they're pretty much done, but for the most part. But do you think maybe the redemption arcs are causing maybe a little too much push, and perhaps sometimes it would be better to just be like, this just didn't come together?
Let stuff die.
Because you're in the music scene. I mean, you know what it's like. There are artists year round who kibosh their entire record album. They do an album, they're like, this isn't working for me, and I need to, or they'll have 85 tracks and only 12 get onto whatever, SoundCloud, and you find out, games can't do that, but you know what I mean, where there's a lot of iteration. How many books, novels? We know novels do it all the time. They write out the novel and they're like, okay, I got to restart. This is not what I wanted.
Yeah.
Games.
Well, I think first of all, very generous of you to say I'm in the music scene. I'll take that.
Well, I assumed with the hat, you're probably tonight going to, produce some music.
Oh, true. Yeah. Right after this, right on
the guitars. You for sure are, you're a producer. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. I think with music, there's always a delusional component. Like as someone who's put out a couple albums, you always think like, oh, my shit is pretty good. Maybe it doesn't get as much, attention because like there's a luck component, blah, blah, blah. It's so easy to delude yourself with that.
Right.
But I think with games, there is an element of like the good ones crop, kind of like crop up or navigate to the top.
Yeah.
Even some really obscure ones end up like, popping off. A big streamer finds it and like, boom. But I wonder how much that is true, that if you make a good game, it will eventually pop off. Because we have seen some good games not do very well. Like, the Control game and Alan Wake didn't do particularly well for how much they cost.
Right. Yeah, that's a good example.
And they're good games.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm sort of firmly under the belief that it perhaps especially when you look at Bungie with all of the problems, Sony taking all their people, that it might be along the lines of, cutting bait doesn't make as much sense. Let's see what we can do. And then if so, we'll write it off. Sony's already written off a game that, cost them millions in Concord. So
yeah,
I think they're looking for true success versus the variable of meandering around. And the problem in particular with Marathon is just that it's got nothing going for it. It's got negativity to the point of no return from Bungie people who are mad at all the stuff that's happened. And even if you want a redemption arc for them, that's probably what you were hoping for, was a redemption arc in a game that you were looking towards, which would be Destiny 3 or something to that effect. And so you see this thing that just, even the playtest people I've talked to are like, holy shit, this thing is a disaster. It's just not anything. But hopefully we see some success. I mean, I don't want anybody to go out of business. But, well, I don't know. Would you cut a project? Would your company cut a project? Let's say your company was 75% and they were very nervous it wasn't going to pan out. Would your company cut the project or do the 25% and then look at it holistically from the end, even if they really were nervous? Has it ever happened to you?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, we've had that with database migrations where really big ones that took years. We were 2 years in it. And now you're paying the cost of the new database plus the existing one.
Right.
And you're still in this journey of going from one to the other. So now you're paying twice because you have the new one too, but you're nowhere near getting to the finish line.
Yeah.
So you end up in this position where you're just paying double for years. So we did end up cutting, but it was a tough decision. And sometimes teams didn't make that call and it hurt them in the end.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard to tell in the moment. What is your cutoff for let's drop this project? Is it when the PR is looking terrible, like Marathon? Is it when your internal people are losing faith in the project? It's hard to make that call at all levels, whether you're the CEO or just the director.
Yeah. I think the big thing too, when you look at the big problem is like the successes we have seen of companies that have gone and retread and fixed something. It's so rare because we've seen other companies go and fix something, but it's like the success stories are very big, if that makes sense. The Resurrected games are massive. No Man's Sky is massive. You know what I mean? Like the talk about it, the celebration about it. And then Cyberpunk is massive. But bear with me here. Think of another one. We've got two. And then the rest are like these meandering, but the two are what everybody focuses on. And I've heard developers say it themselves. They're like, well, if this, we have a plan if something happens to switch things, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, dude, are we really there? Are we at that point to where we're just going to release something?
And you shouldn't think you're going to be the next Cyberpunk. You shouldn't delude yourself. It's like you thinking you're going to be the next Usain Bolt or, Michael Jordan or whatever. Yeah.
Well, hopefully these won't die, but I feel like Marathon's already dead. Hopefully it's not, but also I guess it depends on when you release it. Yeah. If you release it when not a lot's there, we saw a lot of success in the release pattern. We saw a lot of success in the finals release pattern because the finals, I think most people, at least, or not the finals, I'm sorry, Arc Raiders. But you see Arc Raiders getting a pretty good release date when they did it. And let's be honest, Extraction is just not very well done. You've got 3 heavy hitters and then the rest. So like people are thirsty.
Yeah.
They were like, that's a genre that if you can hit it and hit it well, you'll probably do well. It's very hard to hit. And it's, even though it's massive now, it's sort of a niche within a niche. So it's like you hit that, you get a good amount of consumer feedback who really do like it. That's very positive for them, but it's so rare because then you look at the 17 others that released. From what I saw, there was 23 total, and less than 50% are still running.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And I think it's harder, not easier, to land a good Extraction game after Arc Raiders because now you have that set of expectations to compare against as well. I guess the flip side could also be true, that more people are now interested in Extraction because of Arc Raiders. So maybe it expands the niche beyond what it was before. I could see that too.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, that might happen. What other games? So 2026, I'm trying to think. We were talking in the chat about different games that, have like sort of been out, and we were surprised at how few people were playing them now, or exactly where they're going. And like, are companies going to have the money to rejigger, or are they going to have the money to maybe split up teams and do 3 smaller games? Maybe that's what we'll start getting, is some of these big companies will release something and go, okay, let's go ahead and like step down from the next big game and go to 3 small games and see if one of those can capture. A lot of companies are also looking at trying to capture one super small game that does well, or a live service game. They're still looking for live service games because live service game pays the bills if they hit it. I think mobile also is a place to go. Like Fallout Shelter. I mean, honest truth, isn't Fallout Shelter, it's considered one of the best, like people love it. It was sort of like a afterthought in its release. I think, in fact, it was a shadow drop, maybe, if I remember right. Didn't Todd Howard just come out and say there's a mobile game you can play? I don't know. I could be wrong on that. And that game did well, but I don't know what they charged. I think it was free to play. I don't know if there was any micros in it. So they didn't really take advantage of, I guess you would say, that, that form factor. But I feel like mobile, this will never, it won't happen for a while. I'd love to see a mobile / a game where you could be a mobile player or a normal player. Are there things you can do?
Kind of like Genshin, where you can play in either platform?
Yeah, that. For sure. Or that they take advantage of the mobile part and they have people who can play on mobile do something different. This has happened. There's been many a game that's attempted the odd styling where one person on one platform can do one thing, somebody else can do something else. I'm not saying it's even smart. I'm just saying there is nobody doing it, and there's been a couple that have tried.
Could be cool to explore.
Yeah.
So you can do maybe a different set of things when you're on mobile, that gives you a reason to install it on PC and do other stuff.
Yeah. In 2026, though, it does definitely feel like a lot of companies are going to look at the amount outgoing, and with RAM and stuff like that, trying to figure out where to put their game, where to optimize their game. That's the other thing. I saw a lot of people saying, oh, because RAM is going to be shortchanged, devs will just optimize. And I'm like, we don't learn, do we, man? I feel like gamers just don't learn. It's like, dude, man, hope is the first thing you should crush right away. The reason why optimization
great New Year message,
because crush it down, because it's not even the way it works. It's never worked like that. And especially as a conglomerate, like in a world as independent as we are, you think everybody's going to get together and decide to optimize? That's not fucking happening. Like if a 59 or 6090 is $5,000, did you see 5090s or 4,000? Your card is $4,000. Yeah. So the 5090s are like climbing up to $4,000.
I got a 5080. I didn't shell out for the big one.
Okay. So you got a 5080, but do people think that they're not going to aim for the 5080 even at that? Of course they will. Of course they will.
Yeah.
Because they'll want to show it to this small, finite group of people who watch YouTubers who are saying, what's the best of the best? Why do you think, I mean, dude, we're still getting benchmarks on 5090 on cards or 5080s on games. Like, that card costs more than my entire PC plus $1,000 currently.
That's crazy.
My entire PC with
just
video
the card.
Yeah, just the video card. And that's video cards. That's not RAM. That's the card. That's not even the identification of the RAM. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for a lot of these games coming out if they require a lot. What else is 2026 got that's or what other games are going?
Reanimal looks very interesting. It's
it does.
A bit like a Limbo, or what was the
Limbo,
that type of vibe?
Inside.
Inside.
Yeah, those kind of games. Yeah.
That looks awesome. That's in February. Resident Evil,
lean, right?
Yeah.
Can we agree?
Yeah,
with that?
man.
We'll just shine.
Dude,
on
I was
January.
looking at it, and it's like, okay, we got Code Vein 2, we got Cooking Simulator. A couple look kind of cool. Like there's one called Mio that's like a cool indie, has a nice art style.
Yeah.
There's one called Bunny Rampage. Now, they're like some cool indie ones, but it's very lean.
Norb states Steam has their 2025 chart out now. It's crazy to see Kingdom Come next to Battlefield as most sold. Wow. Yeah. Their most sold was weird, too. There were a bunch of games on there I wasn't expecting, and some games I thought would be much higher that weren't on there at all, especially, talk is cheap, right? It really is. It's like how talk is cheap until somebody says, how you doing? And they look at your numbers, and you're like, not very well, apparently. And what's funny is you can always have pride in what you did, but you want to be able to have enough money so you can continue to have pride in what you're doing.
Back it up
what you're going to do. Yeah.
With the success.
Which is why you and I talk about like Alan Wake, because I know people at times will be like, well, who cares how it did? And it's like, well, I'm pretty sure the company does. I mean, in all fairness, once it's out, your next job is to sell it and get that thing continuing to go. And we want it to do.
You want both, but you don't want to be the one that, people loved allegedly, but didn't sell shit.
Dude, nobody wants to be that. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
I would, for pure talk, it would be great to be the classic that's sort of hidden. But for actual, putting food on your plate, you'd probably rather be the one that was really good.
You can't buy groceries with, good reviews.
Yeah. Unless somebody's just, exactly. Probably not. The other games that are coming out, we got Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun 2. Or 40K, depending on how you use it. I liked Bolt Gun a lot. We'll just have to see. But I liked Bolt Gun. Did you play Bolt Gun?
Yeah, I did.
I enjoyed the shit out of that game. I like
Bolt Gun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Warhammer, nailing it, man. Warhammer's just like, yo, bitch, we're here. Like
keep up the momentum.
Yeah, if they could get a developer
was Space
that
Marine
would release
2?
a game day one that was good, it'd be even better. Owlcat, sorry. Sorry, man. I
Was
like
Space
those guys.
Marine 2 the first one that started like the good streak?
No, we're talking back in the day with the RTS or the turn-based RTS games. They started exploding. The one that just got number 3 announced recently. Oh man,
Dawn of War.
Dawn of Wars. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really the start.
Those did well already.
They did well. They were easier to play. People could look at them and go, "This is what a Space Marine is." Blah blah blah. And then at that point, move on into like more eclectic. Well, remember too, when that came out, those games were sort of big. Now that first-person shooters fully eclipsed it, we're starting to see the bolt guns and all that kind of stuff. We saw what's the game from the Vermintide guys? Darktide.
Darktide.
And Darktide's really split because there's no real Space Marines, and that's not even really the Space Marines that you know of. I mean, even Rogue Trader is a whole different group than like Space Marines.
Yeah, it's like
so you're seeing
bottom of the barrel squad.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's the Rough Riders, man. Darktide is the Rough Riders. I would love to see a Vermintide 3. Just being honest.
Me too.
More than anything, I would love to see a Vermintide 3.
I thought the setting was just way more nailed for those games, as well as like the gameplay was really good day one, whereas Darktide was a bit of a husk day one, and it's come a long way. It's a lot better, and it has some good foundational combat, but the first impressions were really negative. It put a lot of people off, including myself. Even though I played quite a bit.
I played it quite a bit as well, yeah. Tembo says, Lords of the Fallen 2023 had a good redemption arc. What was that one? Was that tech? Because Lords of the Fallen
had the very first one they did was tech issues. It was
a disaster
just
on
jank.
The tech side.
It was kind of a bad game fundamentally.
Okay, I'll let you have it. I liked the first one.
You liked it?
I did, and I was lucky enough to have a video card that could offset some pretty bad performance. But it also had a lot of bugs. But bear with me, or sorry, ignore me. Continue. We'll move on from that because that might just be me liking that game more than anything.
Fair enough. I mean, I liked some of it, and enough that I played. You know what I mean? Yeah. There are games I just didn't play because I didn't like. But yeah, the new one was really inventive with the tool worlds and adding a bunch to it, and was super smooth. Some great combat.
Now,
lots of good stuff.
Does he mean the redemption arc for the new one? Because the new one had a ton of tech issues. Remember the performance issues for 2023's version? I can't tell if that's what he means, but it's fixed, right? Regardless, it's fixed too.
It is.
Okay.
And they have like a full co-op mode, which is awesome. Sweet. I do want to try that.
Yeah. And they have one of the best ideas, the Umbra thing.
Yeah,
aren't they the ones that do the Umbra? I love that.
The dual world is awesome. Yeah, going from that original game to that was a big jump. And yes, they did have some technical stuff. But I guess similar to you, I kind of overpowered or just like powered my way through the issues with a card that worked well.
Yeah. Dude, I would say, in all honesty, that was one of the first games, Lords of the Fallen, whatever the first year was one of the first games that I realized, that testing on multiple systems as a reviewer is pretty required. And I get that people are like, well, I can't do that. And I get that, but they're also the same people who are sponsored. So it's like, get sponsored by NVIDIA so that you can do it. I don't understand. But regardless, you pretty much do now. So it's like you have to have a couple different cards because if, not even ray tracing or not, but a low end with lower RAM.
Budget system.
Yeah. Because or if you can, consoles and PC, but that's very hard because you have to ask for them and stuff like that. Not every company is going to want to give multiple codes just for testing the tech.
2-3 different keys.
Yeah, and they don't have to. I don't think they do. It's just fun to do. Jeff Bossman says, honestly, what other game could survive the hate at launch that Cyberpunk did? I would say that if Cyberpunk hadn't had Witcher 3 and if Cyberpunk hadn't had good old games money behind it, probably nobody.
Yeah,
right?
Probably unrealistic for you to survive that because the amount of work they put in after release to turn the game into something really good was insane. Like nobody can realistically do that.
We can invert that question and say, is there any other company that would try to release something so broken if they didn't have the confidence of, that maybe their player base would accept it, because that game didn't even have cops right. It didn't have, like, it was a disaster. So
Yeah.
it's very weird too. Also, I mean, yeah, they've got, how they do their investments are different, and they have different company, setup than everybody else. But I think it does shine a light on the idea that, like, if you'll hear that thing where it's like, oh, these companies do things only for investors. This company over here, they don't have investors, so they'll, they're consumer forward or whatever. It's all a bunch of bullshit. Ultimately, they're a company. Yep. Get 3 people together, give them an LLC, they're a company, move on. They're all capable of doing the same shenanigans and hopefully capable of the same success. I want to see Cyberpunk 2. I mean, I'm excited. It looks like 2030 for that. Gonna be a long time.
Oh, dude, yeah.
We'll both be dead for sure. Well, I mean, I will. 2030 is a long time, dude. It's 2026.
We have to stay healthy and survive.
Yeah, yeah, true. But damn, that's a long time. That's a long time. And that's if it
remember
we
still have to see the completion of Final Fantasy VII all the way, man. And that's gonna be maybe even longer than that.
That is true. That is true, man. Norbj says people are invested in Arc. They keep updating it. Why would they change? Yeah, I mean, and that's the question that every single company that has a good game that watches their gamers flee to the next one probably asks. Right?
Yeah. So it's a fair question, but we see it with almost every genre that people do cross-pollinate to other games. Yep. So like ARPG games, like Diablo, pick your poison, Path of Exile. We see a lot of people going to the neighbor. They go and check out.
And can I point out that as a consumer, you would want that, because that puts money back into the industry. Because if you just sit on the old game and you're not buying anything, but
Yeah, and you get curious because, there's this new game. It's similar to what I play. Let me check it out. I definitely think a lot of people would check it out.
Yeah. And then you'll get those games like a Counter-Strike or something that does stick around for a while. But when you look at those numbers, there's also people coming back as well as newcomers coming in. Something like that runs really well, runs at a low, and they grew up watching those people play. Now they're old enough to get their own PC. They buy it. So you get this sort of, it's very difficult because 20,000 people playing concurrently doesn't tell you anything about who it is. Are they, constant? Are they the people that have sat with it for years? Are they brand newcomers? Are they there? Why are they there? We'll never know that kind of data, hopefully, unless we're China. We shouldn't know that much about the people.
We shouldn't.
We shouldn't know that much about people. Like that would scare the hell out of me if somebody's like, they knew everything. They're all, well, Jeremy's over there playing. And you're like, ruh-roh, they know everything. Malad says Deep Rock Malages. Man, some of you guys' usernames, sorry. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor is so good on mobile. Okay,
yeah, I do want to try that.
Yeah. David Ball says, do you think GTA will get another delay again?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't believe so. November. Come on, nah.
I'm not even answering, man.
Nah, man. I refuse to believe.
Checkmate Stallion, $5 super chat. Happy New Year. 2025 was awesome for indie games and ninja games. I love that. Ninja games.
There were a ton of ninja games.
Filter.
Yeah.
There were, but I just love it.
Holy
ninja
shit.
games in particular. This year looks to be another good one with Reanimal on the horizon, and Lords of the Fallen 2 later. Lords of the Fallen 2 hopefully won't get delayed, but I hope they delayed if they have technical issues, so we can go from there. But I would say, in all honesty, 2025, I mean, I thought was good. I didn't love these games, but I'm going to add AAA on there because, Battlefield, regardless of its numbers now, because I do not expect a game to hold numbers, even an online game, especially with so many. I'm sure they'd want to hold more, but I think that we have seen some actually good AAA games too. We've seen some good games generally everywhere. I don't really feel like there has been a segment of games that hasn't done, genuinely quite well in 2025. We've seen some drops. I'm not saying we haven't seen failure, but I'm just saying there's been a lot of success overall.
Speaking of success, Resident Evil Requiem is coming out in February.
Yeah, but
well.
First, speaking of true success, because that one I think I want to talk about. Grandmaster just said, who would have thought Schedule 1 would do as well as it did? Schedule 1 was on that Steam list as a top seller with all the biggins. That shit's nuts, dude. That game looked like hot garbage. It
like
just
ass,
man. And I don't know how it exploded. I didn't follow it enough. I know some people that I know didn't play it very long, but they sort of enjoyed it, but it just came in, but it sold ridiculous numbers somehow. Shadow sold better than I thought. In fact, I would say many games sold better than I expected last year, especially because it's hard to reduce the chaff, Johnny. You'll see a negative couple videos and you'll be like, oh, it didn't sell well. And you'll go back and look and go, oh, well, okay. Scratch that. It did sell well. It just, some people don't like it, which is, some people don't like everything. Some people don't like sex. Got to be aware that some people are just weird. Jay says, $10 super chat. Happy Halloween, everybody. Could be another good year in games. Yes, indeed. And I dress up every single day, so it's always Halloween, baby. Always Halloween. Crotchless chaps are always on. This is Malad. He says, considering that Warhammer has released 40,000 games so far, hence the name, a few of them are bound to be good. Brother, I love you, but I lived through the bad games of Warhammer. And you would think by the process of elimination, there would have been a good one. But there was about a 9 to 10 year period where their IP was known as the garbage IP. So it was, there was probably a good one in there, or good somewhat. But they were ridiculed for how poorly they were choosing partners.
Yeah, they were consistently
they were rough.
On.
They were rough. Yeah. But I'm right there with you. I hope they do well. Let's see. I'm scared about the tech in 2026 because I'm scared they're going to bully us to gaming as a service. What? Who's bullying? Who's this big, large bully? The man's holding us down. He's making me do it. He's making me do it. Games as a service have been around for 10 years, though. Like, I don't know. I haven't felt that. In fact, I've felt sort of it doesn't feel like that is really happening at all. It feels like it's just like games are everywhere and you're going to have to go out and find whatever way, whether it be like mini PC, sticking with your PC, handhelds. Games as a service has been around so long, I don't really quite feel like anybody's forcing us into them. In fact, there's been a lot of games that aren't games as a service do really well. So,
well, it's also a bit of a blurry line. What's live service game?
Ooh, yeah.
You have stuff like Monster Hunter, which is kind of there.
Yeah.
It kind of ticks all the boxes, but people don't really view it as a live service game. Maybe some people do.
Right.
So it's kind of tricky.
Example of something, Johnny. It's a good point you just brought up. Valhalla had this festival in Assassin's Creed Valhalla that would happen on a holiday. And when they decided to move forward, instead of like downloading that data and somehow tracking it on your own device for whatever day it was, it just didn't happen anymore. And this may sound dumb, but I actually enjoyed going to going to the place and like things were decorated differently. It's not really games as a service. It's like occasional updated service game or something. Like, it's weird. I don't know how to describe it, but they removed something that's not a games as a service game in and of itself. But an event, a thing was removed that was happening on particular days and fed in via the internet. So you're right. There's so many games, because an MMO is a games as a service game. Anything that really requires you to be online, but that didn't require you to be online. It's just that now that you weren't online or their servers weren't online, you got less of the thing. It's odd. It's odd. I guess that's strength of gaming, though, that there are a ton of odd. For everything we mention, you have an opposite example, and so do I. So I guess that maybe shows the strength.
Yeah, overlaps and weird edge cases and combinations of things.
We need to get somebody who's good. Like, this is not dissing on anybody in our industry, but I mean a real researcher who could research for a year, almost like a college school grads or something, and have them do edge cases and examples so that you could just sit down and be like, okay, here's an edge case when we thought this would never work. This is why it worked. Here's why Cyberpunk worked. I think we all know pretty much. Here's why No Man's Sky worked. Would No Man's Sky still have given us a bunch of free DLC if it had not had failure unbelievably thrust upon it when it first released? Which is probably going to be the question.
Good question.
I think that's a bigger question than Cyberpunk. I think I can look at Cyberpunk and go CDPR, Witcher 3, No Man's Sky, though. Would it still do a ton of free DLC? Do people really believe that those would have not been $5 at least? You know?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. So that's a weird one, right? That's a weird
We'll
one.
never know. That's an alternate universe where every content patch was paid.
Yeah. So we're there. I mean, there's an example of pretty much like every single thing. Let's see. Oh, somebody said Deep Rock Galactic Survivor's fantastic on all systems. Okay. Somebody said mobile, and somebody's like, let me correct you. Everything. Let's see. Speaking of surviving, PlanetSide 2 has officially been live longer than PlanetSide 1. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Some of my favorite games, their prequels are alive and their sequels weren't. Asheron's Call was one of my favorite MMOs, and its sequel died quicker than its, than the original. I think EverQuest had that same issue, didn't it? I think it was like EverQuest 1 and 2, and then 1 stuck around longer. I don't know. That might be wrong. But I feel like there's something with it. What are you doing, buddy? Just pushing my hard drives off. I just set up some hard drives on the floor to do some work today, and my light's on top of them, and I just keep seeing the light go like this, and he's just stretching. As he's got, dude, you know how dogs usually stop growing?
Yeah.
This dog has not stopped growing, man. We just wait. He's 14. They have a lifespan of about 10 years. He's 14. And I swear to you, he gained 4 pounds in the last
He's
2
just
years.
Scaling.
I'm like,
scaling to the late game.
He's got giantism. Let's see. No Law looks like it could scratch some of that itch as Cyberpunk. Now, No Law is the Ascent devs. Is that correct? Or am I
No
wrong?
Law, I believe, is the chunky Asian guy fighting in the bar. No?
Well, then, but he's saying it might scratch the itch as Cyberpunk. Why would No Law scratch No Law might scratch the Yakuza itch, right?
Oh no, sorry, it was a different game. Yeah, it is. Okay, it is like
I think that's the Ascent
Cyberpunk
devs.
looking. Yes, yeah, it is the Ascent devs. Perfect.
Yeah.
There we go.
Let's see. It's always Halloween in ACG land. Yes, it is.
I mean, March is a pretty big month, actually.
Necro says, I think he means prices going up. I don't know what that means. Near says, reacting to the question, isn't new always better, or the promise of new is better than what we have? Just kidding. 2020 fun was absolute cinema. I don't care how 2026. I don't know how 2026 could possibly top that. You think so? I think 2025 was a very good year, but I don't know. I don't really. We'll have to see.
It's hard to judge.
Gas says, what do you, $5 super chat. What's up, sir? Where do you guys sit on discourse regarding AI and game dev? AI and game dev, the notorious fucking black hole of discussion. I think we've been using AI and game dev way longer than the discussion about AI and game dev has been going. Whether it's been softy or like a soft autocomplete on stuff there's been that shit for ages, and it's just now become, dude, remember when I did those AI reviews, people were like, this is the greatest thing ever, and how quickly it like turned negative. It was like, everybody was like, these are the best videos. They're so funny. I think the closer they come to humans, the more people will have an issue.
Yeah, it became really good, and then stopped being funny. You know,
dude, they were a blast. That there was some negativity on that last one or two, but I was like, But then once it was probably three, maybe it was four. Once four came, you're like, it's just going to be
not
generic,
a joke anymore.
But it's not going to be a joke anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say that whatever discourse happens with AI and game dev, it's mostly westernized. And people are forgetting that everyone I know who's in, because one of the first games I ever consulted on was in India, and I could still have contacts there. They're using it. Asian developers are using it. Everybody. So the Western discussion about AI is dramatically different than the discussion of AI in other nations. And I do think that if people don't use stuff to augment themselves, autocomplete faster, that kind of thing, they're in deep shit. But we ain't getting no fucking GTA being made by an AI. We did just last week see a world model play a game, and it was playing Witcher 3. Did you see that, Johnny? They showed a world model playing Witcher 3. Yeah, because it can read, world models now can read the full frame. They know they've been trained on HUDs. They've been trained on activities. And did he look generic? Yeah, he looked like if you were learning a game. But guess what? He was killing enemies. And I was just like, ooh, that's going to be
that kind of stuff for testing and QA would be huge.
You know, if you could, reviewers.
Yeah.
Throw your AI.
I mean, I think one thing we're finding throughout all of
this game, sure you did.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Well, one thing we're finding in all of this process and discussion is that people really care about understanding what the use of AI was.
Right.
And so I think we're past the point where we want to prohibit people from using it because we see people just use it, whether, you know, it's stated or not, or like to different degrees. But I think we need better tooling to see, to maybe control, you know, where's the training data coming from?
Yeah.
Does it make sense for that to be allowed, right? Like maybe regulation in that sense. And then also good ways to describe what your use of AI is in your project in ways that we can understand as consumers too. So you can kind of set standards for yourself. Maybe you can say, you know, a game that uses it in this way is fine with me, but what, you know, where can you draw a line?
Procedural generation is not AI in the way AI is AI, right? But I lived through the procedural generation complaints as well. And that was about a full 10 years of bitching about procedural generation until people put some things on it. And it used to be, oh, is this procedural? I don't want to play it. And you certainly saw games that didn't do procedural well, for sure. I played many of them. So again, they're not the same, but they are a tool that a developer should probably use in the future when they get to a certain level. I don't know how much I need to know because, well, I mean, I would love to know everything, but I don't know how deep I want to go. So if somebody says, I used autocomplete and at the end of the autocomplete, it suggested something to me and I hit enter there. Do I need to know that level of fidelity on, because by the way, if that's true, dude, I'm sorry, but versus code, all that, they all have it already in there. And they've had it in there for ages. So like people are pretending like it's brand new. That's why I've been studying AI for the last 5 fucking years to like be on top of stuff, whether it be, and I don't even need to use it. I love the idea of like, what can you do in science in particular, medicine, more than games by a good amount for me personally. But how much do we need to know? And then let me give you an example. Let's say you use an upscaler. No upscaler is bilinear anymore. They're all AI. So if you upscale for your game, which, by the way, upscaling used to be fine, meaning a person is not going and remaking the entire texture, which would be weird anyway. I don't know of a company that would want you to waste that time. You're using AI to upscale your texture. So do you report that you used AI? And I would say at current reporting level, yes. However, what is a yes good enough? And then what level of discretion do you use? Alters, for example, they used AI to fix their text. They should have said they used AI and just stated that they fixed their text. They probably would have been fine, but they didn't. They got in trouble. Expedition 33 devs stated that somehow AI got into their game and they, re-uploaded the real stuff that wasn't AI. So they stated they didn't use it. And then that's why they didn't get on the Indie Awards, whatever that Indie Awards where they got pulled. So there's definitely a desire to report it. But yeah, it's going to be one of those ones that's going to take a long time, especially efficiencies and tests. Oh, by the way, AI has been used in testing since, I think when I was talking, I could be wrong on this. I think it was Victor who was saying they were already using AI for testing on Vermintide, a generic bot running around to play the game. And it had fuzzy logics. Assassin's Creed uses it for checking all kinds of stuff. Ladders. Does this zip line go where it's supposed to? Does this go here? Does that go there? And it is AI in that it's doing shit that a QA person could do. That's been years. So the discussion about it, I think, should be removed from that and be talking about the Chat GPT style AI. Because I think a lot of people think that. And what did I tell you? The guy told me, hey, Jeremy, are you going to go back and change your Halo review because of the AI in it? And I'm like, bro, that's AI for the character. That's not they didn't use AI to make the game. That's the reason why you're seeing on I was like, are you really asking that? So there's a lot of misinformation. I think AI unfortunately means everything to everybody. So it becomes
it does.
It's how you use it, and then you portray that onto the rest of everybody else.
And while I don't need that level of granularity you were talking about, I do want to know, is it like the characters were inspired by AI? Like, what are we talking? You know, is it some of the text fixed by AI? Like, I do care about some of these differences. And I think that if you told me your game was mostly made by AI, if we ever get to that point, I don't know if I'd be interested in playing it. It's kind of weird, but if I bring it to another medium, if you give me a book that's amazingly written, but I know that it was written by AI, I don't think I would want to read it, because there is still something about like a human creating something and then sort of passing that on for you to read. That's cool. I don't know how much of that is in games, since it's a bit removed, you know, from the creator, and it's more about the end product.
I think there's always a market for something, because as young as I was jumping on the first browser, and there were randomizers that did D&D games. There were randomizers that did choose your own adventures, where a person would enter in 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 entries, and you would hit start, and it would be like, the monster grabs a sword and attacks you. And they would put flowery text between it. And back then, that's a randomizer. A person made all those entries. I want to make sure that's clear. But really, when it comes to randomizers, these are smarter randomizers. Their weights are traced, and then they're randomizing whatever. Their weights are traced. They're changed. They're adjusted, whether it's trained on math, whether it's trained on writing. But I think one of the biggest problems, too, is like, depending on how you're talking about it, like I've heard people say generative AI. Well, if you hit autocomplete and it suggests something or fixes something for you, it is generating an answer. It is quite literally doing it. If you say, make a game, we're not there. And I don't think I would want to play them either. I don't think a make a game would be fun. But guess what? There's 100 real games made by people that aren't fun. And at some point, we're all going to have to be really honest on a couple things. Stuff made by people isn't as good as you think. Stuff made by people can be amazing and better than you think. It's going to take no one wants to admit this, man, but talent is a thing. And it's really uncomfortable to talk about, but you'll see people say, oh, AI can't achieve voice actor stuff. And I'm like, man, I've played a lot of shitty voice acting games, you know, where there's voice acting that's terrible. That's not to say I would rather have AI. I'm literally just saying it's best to be honest and not draw a line in the sand. The big problem for many people right now is world models. World models do not need to be trained on human art. They're trained on the world. And when that comes, if we stick as that being our sticking point, generative AI, stolen artist AI, blah, 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 you are going to have no argument that you can use when a world model pops up. And world models are the future. Everybody's going towards world models. Probably a lot of it because of IP. But you go to a world model and you're like, this thing's trained on the world. Started out with robots because they need the world model. They can't use a generative model that we see. They don't work as well. So they go to a world model. Once the world model, this thing goes out. And I mean, you could patent a tree if you wanted. You could say these guys can't use you guys can't use my backyard trees. I guess you could do that, but the end result is they'll have enough data that then if we try to say, oh, it was trained on blah, 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 it's like, well, now it's not. So you need another attack vector towards curbing it. The cool thing about it is people get too mad at each other to really realize what they're all saying. We just want games to be good, and we don't want, bad anything. Yeah. What my opinion is that you're going to have bad anything, whether it be AI or people. And that needs to be sort of brought into the discussion so you can sort of remove the pretending to the wayside and say, what's the actual issue, which is jobs which is hugely important to the industry. But they're all going to change. But anyway, moving on from there. Well, last question. Why does everybody take an issue with AI art, but no one talks about AI in coding? We talk about it daily on this podcast, so I don't know. I do see people saying that, but no, we talk about it all the time. There's AI in coding, and I even saw some YouTuber who was saying that. They were like, oh, I can't believe it. Nobody talks about AI in coding. And it's like, everybody does. But you see that a lot of times. We've stated it. I'll be like, nobody talks about a game with unicorns, and then find out that over here, there's a bunch of people who made games with unicorns. So the end result is, if you're saying no one talks about AI and coding, you're just seeing your echo chamber reflected back to you. As somebody who studies this and has been studying it for 5 years, since GPT wasn't even known as GPT technically, AI and coding was talked about day one. Like it's been talked about. It's just you have to go and look.
For sure.
Yeah. Moving on from there, I do want to talk a little bit about Lego Batman: Legacy of the Dark Knight. Okay, so this game, you like it too. You liked what you saw as well, right?
Yeah.
They're taking Lego in. I was wondering, do you think there's a chance maybe we'll see more of the games known for like kiddie kind of stuff sort of taking from their more mature predecessor? Because like you look at Batman Arkham Knight and you look at Lego, and Lego's like bank on guy and he dies. It looks like Batman isn't going to make it much harder for a normal person to play, a young kid. It's just going to take from the other stuff and finally elevate Lego into something that might appeal to a audience that wants more. But I don't think that I was told, oh, I'm worried that Lego Batman is going to like not be available to those younger people. I haven't seen that. From what I've been seeing of this Lego game, it looks like it is quite literally there. Also, I guess you have to come to the assumption that a 5-year-old's more complex than they were 40 years ago.
I was gonna say that there is a rolling window where young people are more and more competent over generations. So a 5-year-old now is probably much more capable than a 5-year-old, let's say 10 years ago.
Probably.
When it comes to like picking up a game, understanding mechanics,
how
and
devices work,
pressing buttons, and just like engaging with stuff. So I think there's that element. And then I think Lego in general has been skewing more adult as just like a brand. They've made some changes with like CEO and leadership and stuff. And they went away with a lot of the purely kid sets, and they're really focused on slightly more adult sets and like IP-centric ones like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think maybe there's also something there where, while still keeping it very accessible, they talked about difficulty levels and stuff, to make it accessible. They do want to maybe make it more interesting for the adult population, which I think is cool. It just adds to it.
Yeah, and I think also, I mean, until there's a game like There Will Be Blood, the Lego game, I'm not going to worry too much about too much maturity in my Lego game.
The Dark Souls Lego.
Well, I mean, or something that's like, Inception, the Lego game. That's when it's mature and adult. But right now, to me, what it looked like was it's just offering more on the like more technical end for a person who's played for a while, or at least looking that way. And I was told it is definitely more complex. They've added some stuff. That's great. But I don't see it going away. What I do see, and what I would love to see, is something like Skylanders, which I love because it's a Golden Axe style game. It's one of my favorite genres of game of all time. I would love to see them have a little bit more complexity, because usually for a Skylander, there's like a line of special moves and then a split. And so you have maybe 9 special moves that are attached to the Skylander. There is a new Skylanders from what I hear, which is why this popped into my head. I would love to see more complexity there. I think that kind of idea, I would love to see some of these games add a little bit more, to where you feel like Jurassic Park, for instance, Lego felt halfway there and halfway not. Like they couldn't decide, because it's Jurassic Park. They made some jokes about people being eaten and stuff like that, but it's like they were already, I feel like, with some of these titles trying to sort of figure it out. Being like, what if we do this? What if we do that? I mean, the switch to voiced was a big deal. Because look how long games from Lego just had no voice. And I know that there's some people who don't like it. I don't know why, but if there is voice in a game like that, I would love for you to be able to turn it off for those people who don't want to, Maybe just want the Susu Sim style voice or whatever. I can't even remember. Did they have? I think they didn't have any voice. They just did. They didn't even do a Susu like Sims. They just did. Did they just do subtitles on the old ones when there were no voice?
I don't know because I never played like super old ones. The sort of Batman ones that I played quite a bit, or Star Wars ones did have voice.
Yeah, many of them did. Dude, I played a lot of them. I just can't remember their form factor. But I'm excited as hell for that. That Batman looks like a huge step up. The other game that has been announced and they've shown some. What do you think about the new Tomb Raider? Like, what do you want from a new Tomb Raider? So this is the new. I'm not talking about the remake. I'm talking about what do you want from, let's say,
the new one,
your Rise of the Tomb Raider 2. Yeah, your new Tomb Raider game. Like, what would you like to see?
Yeah,
it's a different star, different voice actress. It's not Camilla Luddington. I can't remember the name of the new one, but they're doing different voice actress. What was there anything missing in the current Tomb Raiders that you like would have liked to see?
Alicia Vikander was missing. She was the actress that did in the movies. I had a weakness for Alicia Vikander, but I don't know. Honestly, I like those games. I'm kind of a sucker for those. I think I play all of them, like Uncharted, Tomb Raider. I like the exploration and the beautiful settings and stuff like that. I enjoy those. I don't think it needs anything super specific for me. I always like to see new mechanics, like maybe a grapple tool or like something that allows you to interact slightly differently, or maybe make your traversal a bit different. Those are kind of the main things I look for.
I don't even know what to expect from it, because I feel that 2014 Rise and Shadows did a really good job. They had their weaknesses and strengths, but they overall, it was a great trilogy. I think that was a solid trilogy. So I don't quite know what I'm expecting from this one. Well, how about this? Do you need character growth? Because there was a big discussion in the Discord. They were like, I'd like to hear more about this character and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, I don't see the appeal in that. But I mean, maybe that's needed in a new one.
I mean, some of the human side I enjoy, like Nathan with the wife. And you're seeing them like doing the dishes or like playing a game at home.
Yeah.
Those are small moments that do add. I do like those kinds of things. And seeing some vulnerability at times is cool. But I don't want a game that's purely about the person like going through some, whether it's trauma or them like processing this big psychological thing. I actually enjoy the ones that are more lighthearted, like, a lot of Nathan Drake stuff.
Yeah.
He's really just out there having fun, killing a bunch of people, but
which can be fun.
Hey, they're bad guys. So
genuinely, some of them were just,
what I mean? Like the lighthearted,
janitor, but I
the
agree.
Indiana Jones kind of like,
feel. Yeah. The pulp, sort of over-the-top adventure. I mean, The Mummy, you didn't see a lot of people die in The Mummy, and that was a guy. I love the movies. I love that pulp action kind of thing. I would love to see a Mummy game with Brendan Fraser. I would kill to see that. I love The Mummy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was about
those
the
are so
frame.
Great.
They're fucking amazing.
I've seen them a ton of times, man.
So have I. And I would kill. I mean, I love Indiana Jones. I'm not saying that hasn't replaced it in some way, but I just like The Mummy, and I would love to see him show up and be like, yeah, I'm in a game. I love that guy. Yeah, that would be awesome to see. I'm going to read some of these comments if you want to grab some of the stuff from Discord, some subjects and questions. Does anyone think Nintendo will bring something out no one was expecting or announce something new in 2026? This is a good question. This is from David. He says that Donkey Kong was cool and enjoyable last year. That is a very good question for Nintendo 2026. Is Nintendo a surprise company, though? Do they... Because I feel like we're going to see a Zelda, at some point. I feel like we're going to see... I don't know if Nintendo's a surprise company, but hey, like, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, but I don't know if they're a surprise company. I could be wrong on that. Let's see. I still need to try Lego Horizon. Oh, yeah, Lego Horizon. I don't know if anybody's tried that I know of. Dylan
just
says
didn't get talked about.
It didn't get much. Dylan says I wouldn't mind seeing some of the more fantastical and silly elements from the older Tomb Raiders come back, like fighting a dinosaur. That was good. It's so crazy that if I mention fighting or the Tyrannosaurus Rex, every person who ever played number one, it's like their main memory. That over the top. What do we got for questions?
There was a moment. I like the way they did it in Uncharted. I think it was Uncharted 3, where for a moment I think they had like a Bigfoot or something show up. And for a moment you were like, hold on, are they really like doing supernatural? And you were, you were kind of taken aback by that. And then,
I love that.
Later you see that's maybe not what it seems. I'm not going to spoil that part.
But it turns out to like
I like the way they did
something.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if it does turn out to be supernatural, then it gets to a point where like, it kind of breaks your immersion slightly. At least in those games, maybe Tomb Raider can pull it off with a bit of a different, more fantastical vibe.
Wow. So looking at the poll, 60% of people think 2026 will be better than 2025. That's split. That's
optimistic. I like it.
Closer than I thought. I actually thought it would either be super not or super positive, but it looks like people are just, maybe there's a sort of a wait around. Yeah, 60% yes, 40% no. Damn. Okay. That's not bad. What do we got for, let's do a couple questions and we'll go to the next topic.
Okay. Let's see. So we had some topics there. Looks like the only question today is from A1 Nagel. He says, do you see the Steam frame reigniting broader excitement or investment into VR? It feels like it has never been sticky or durable, as hype seems to fade away after 3 to 6 months.
I think hype needs to start because it hasn't started. And the hands-on for that have not been tremendously positive. They haven't been negative. They've just been like sort of a status quo. And so I don't know. I would love to see it, man. I think VR is awesome, but it is definitely a Gen 2 device. It is certainly not even 3 or 4. I mean, it is set up much more akin to the last gen or the time before than it is like any of the current gen, probably to be sufficient price-wise. And even that's going to be hard because guess what? That's got RAM on it. It's got a CPU on it. So who knows, price-wise. I'm pretty sure they stated they're hoping to get it less than the cost of the index. That is an insane price point. That's like $1,000.
That's massive.
That's massive.
I think the cool thing is VR with the wireless options has become a lot more comfortable, like less barrier and less like friction. Because when you used to put that thing on and it had the cable and like maybe it's a USB-C that then like disconnects, right? Because of the form factor of that. Yeah. And all of these little idiosyncrasies, I think removing the cable has been a big improvement. And then the fact that some headsets are now way more comfortable too. I have the Pico 4. I've been picking it up again this week.
Oh, gotcha.
Playing some Alex. Mm-hmm. And it's very comfortable. I still don't play for a long time. Like, after an hour and a half or 2, I'm still feeling quite fatigued with the pressure. So I think that's one big thing we have to get through, which is the weight in these headsets and stuff like that. Battery times becoming better, all this type of stuff. But I think we could be close to them becoming much better. The problem really is the price, because, for example, the Pico 4 that I have is decently priced, at least in my region. Depends where you live. So we're starting to have some good options in the kind of budget range, but nothing that's pushing the envelope when it comes to form factor or, reducing elements and making it more streamlined.
Yeah, I have the Pico as well. And it's probably the best of it hits every mark pretty well.
Yeah, it feels great, doesn't it?
If that makes sense. Yeah. And it just It does just work.
Because it has a lot of the stuff you would need, like the IPD adjustment.
Yeah.
It's able to adjust that for you. You know, it has pretty good, like overall.
Well, everything's just pretty good.
Yeah, it's
right?
just pretty good.
Yeah. And at the price point it was available at, I don't know if that's also risen because it's its own PC as well with RAM. The price it was at was pretty good. I think that technically my biggest problem, Johnny, with VR. So if you look at every industry, every single industry at some point gets sort of your singularity, meaning many things are offered that are generically fairly equivalent. So when VR first came out, there were a lot of devices that were super expensive, and the improvements were generational. New headset, new ear music stuff, like the Index did great with music. And then you saw devices with wider FOVs, and you saw increases and jumps in resolution. Now we're at the 98%, where to get to 99 is expensive. 99% improvement is insanely expensive to get to. And technology-wise, I don't know if we're there. This happened with Airsoft. You would get Airsoft where $99 would be a gun that would work for one game. $500 would be a great gun. Now you can get $199 guns for Airsoft. You can get $99 guns that I have a friend who's playing. He's on his 6th year with it. Cars. It used to be where you could tell, you know, you'd be like, this car doesn't have any horsepower at all. It's the low rent car. It's a basics. It's got all the basics. And now you start looking at even the most basic cars and you're like, huh, they've got a sort of a fake version of whatever the other one's got, but it's got less than. And that makes it cheaper on the people producing it too. They produce it in a sort of a overarching, everybody gets the same thing, but you know, your GPS isn't as good. Let's hope that's not it, but you know what I mean? So it cuts down. So here's the problem with gaming right now. I don't think we're ever going to see a device come that changes everything anymore. I don't think it's possible. Because you look at VR, handhelds, mini PCs, major PCs, game streaming. You can rent a PC online. TVs used to be $2,000 for a good HDR TV. Now you can get a TCL for super cheap that does 80 to 90% of what the expensive one does. With gaming, dude, there's so many ways to get the games into a person's house that why would a person go out and purchase something that was like slightly better for any reason other than their old device is broken or compatibility? And they've stated that, you know, the frame, everything's going to be compatible. It's a Windows device. It's a Steam device. Sorry. It's, you know, it's like, it's going to be compatible with everything. I don't know if somebody can offer something that's going to change the world and make everybody go, that's the way we're going. It feels like it's going to be more, we're going everywhere. I mean, mobile devices are super powerful and utility is super high. So in the past, many phones didn't have USB-C out, so you couldn't stream. Now you can get a USB-C to HDMI adapter and stream GeForce to your TV through your phone. So I just had somebody, they were asking about mini PCs, and I happened to ask what phone they had. They had a super powerful phone. And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? Because all they wanted to do was take a little mini PC to places.
They are a PC now.
And I'm like,
you know,
dude,
like
that's
the
a PC.
phones pretty
Not
much.
only that, you can get USB-C LAN adapters. So you don't even have to worry about the Wi-Fi part if you're at a hotel. You can, if they have connectors in the wall. Like, we're at this point of utility, which is what I was getting to with the Pico. Pico's utility is pretty high. Let's say it's 80% across the board. And you might get a headset like the big screen that is 100% on immersion or FOV, but it's also $600 more. So to go from 80 to 100% that delta is so expensive now. And the big problem is everything's more expensive because of RAM and microprocessors and fab production. So
yeah,
I don't think the frame
so it's going up, not down.
Yeah, it's going. And the big problem I have is every developer I talk to, I'm like, hey, man, are you still doing your VR game? No, there's no, you know, there is a market, but right now we would rather do a flat and then do a VR version or whatever. And that's not going to be accepted by most people. We now see, certain games that were VR coming to flat screens with ports. The Alien game was ported over to flat screen recently, because they want to make their money back, because VR, even if a game sells a ton on VR, your development is going to be expensive because you are developing for a unique platform. It's tough, man. It's tough. So I would say probably not. Long-winded answer, probably not. Would love to see it though.
We did get one
Streven.
last question that popped in.
Let me do the super chat real quick.
Go for it.
Streven, $5 super chat. What's your pick for the most underrated game of 2025? Underrated game of 2025 might be pretty easy, actually. Let me look at my list. I'm gonna include some games that I didn't review, but there was a couple games that I feel that were underrated or sort of slid under the radar this year. Hell Is Us is mine. Yeah, Hell Is Us for sure.
Okay,
there's no doubt. Yeah, I figured that. I figured there was a game on there that I know. I would say Eric's Home was one of the best stealth games I played last year, and it probably, I don't know its sales, but it sort of didn't get talked about. The game was fantastic. I gave it to some of the people in the Discord, and they're like, "Holy shit, nobody's talking about this. That is a fantastic game." But I would definitely say Hell Is Us just didn't get talked about very much. And that game and its unwavering ability to display damnation right in front of you without any hesitation was a breath of fresh air. Definitely. I don't even think that game got acknowledged in the... Did it even get acknowledged in the Game Awards? And not that the Game Awards matter. I mean, most of those people are playing the AAAs anyway, or whatever they think gets clicks, but still would have been nice. What about you? What's your underrated game in 2025?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Was there any game that you were trying to get me to play and I kept kiboshing you? That's how I know it's underrated. You'll be like, "Hey man, what about this game?" I'm like, "Nah."
Like that time I was trying to convince you that The Raft is a good game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm no fool, man.
I think Roadcraft was legitimately a really good game.
Yes, I did like Roadcraft. That is true. Good example.
Yeah.
Man.
And I didn't see a lot of people. I mean, in my circles, a few people did play, like in my server and stuff, but it was pretty under the radar.
That's a good example, man. Eternal says it was Lost Records. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't like that one that much.
I didn't either. Not much. But I get it. I think it reviewed okay, didn't it? I don't remember. I shouldn't even say it did review okay, because like that doesn't matter. But that's cool. I'm glad people liked it, because I do like them as a developer. I don't care if it doesn't resonate with me. Like, and I love those games. I want them to continue. I do, I want to, if that's a genre I want every game to be awesome in, because I love that genre. I love the Dispatch, Life is Strange,
Yeah.
Bloom and Rage. I want those to do well. Let's see. I really wish Hell Is Us had better enemy design. I did like how organically everything was delivered to the player without beating them over the head with HUD prompts. Reminds me of old school adventure games. Roadcraft is fun for sure. I'm playing it slowly because of the retro style. I don't know which game Nor's talking about. But
yeah.
Retro style. Oh, Bloom and Rage, I think is what he's talking about. The retro 1980s purple. I loved it. I love the generic color and look. But Streven's end question on the same question was also, what game did you play the most in 2025? Mine would be Division or Starfield. But I'm thinking Starfield is starting this year, just when I was throwing some mods in. I know that ate up some time, but I would say probably Division 2. Just because I played it all the time when nothing was going on. I mean, I played it last night, so like that's my feel-good game,
Yeah, for me it was Metaphor this year? No.
Didn't we talk about this? I think Metaphor was last year. Yeah. Last year meaning 2024, right? Last year. Last
24, yeah. Prior.
Yeah. Oh, listen to this. I agree. That dude said Cyber Knight's Flashpoint was a favorite. Cyber Knight's Flashpoint by the Tress Brothers is awesome. They make good games. They just make good games, man. It's so crazy. Those guys know how to make, like, I'm going to be honest. When they showed me that, I was originally like, I don't know. Because I'm a big fan of the prior games, I didn't know. That game is awesome. Man, they've done such a good job on those. Tokyo Extreme Racer not being mentioned as a contender for Racing Game of the Year is criminal. I feel like Racing Game has turned into Mascot Game of the Year. Can I just point that out? I think that mascots have taken over racing to the point to where it's very difficult for a normal racer to get any, unless it's gorgeous graphically, right? Unless it's, Forza Horizon or GT. It feels like it's mascot game of the year, and it gets a little tiring. So I would agree. I don't know much about Tokyo other than on the Sega Saturn. It was one of my favorite racing games of all time, but I haven't played the redo. I heard it's awesome. But yeah, I would agree. I would definitely
I think
say.
longest played for me was Monster Hunter Wilds.
Ooh,
I have
Wilds
close
is up
to
there
like
for me.
80 hours. Yeah.
That's crazy. 80 is your most.
Yeah,
My
it's quite
most
high.
No, I thought that was low because I was going to say my most is 400. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But admittedly, you're playing different games. You're streaming. Everybody's going to be different on their most.
Well, it's probably going to be League.
It'd be League
because I played that throughout the year.
Yeah.
But in
But that's why
short amounts.
That's why I gave Division mine. Yeah, it does, because if it's an hour a day, 5 or 6 times a week for those first couple months you were doing your YouTube stuff, I could see that. I can see that eating up some time.
Yeah, it's throughout the year. It adds up.
With no one really caring about the games at Netflix and the WB buyout, you think it's safe to use the Nemesis system? So that's a good question, Blaze. Let's correct the Nemesis system discussion for a second and then go on to the buyout. The Nemesis system is patented. However, the reason why you see many Nemesis-like systems in a game that didn't sell a great deal at first, but seems to have done okay now, Watch Dogs Legion used something very, 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 very close to the Nemesis system in the way it tracked. Assassin's Creeds always have a Nemesis light kind of system in them, whether it be the cultists or whatever. If you look at that patent is pretty strict on what it's patenting. And the developers I've talked to, basically, many don't worry about it, or if they do, they worry about some very particular things. One of them is that an enemy that comes back with an indicator that the way in which they were killed is why they came back, or is how they came back. So, or makes a big effect on how they come back. Many of the games, Nemesis-style games, don't kill the character. The reason why we know that works is the Grid had a Nemesis system, and the Grid came out after Lord of the Rings. The Grid had a thing where if you bumped up against somebody, F1s have that. They have the rival. There's rival. There's another term. There's many systems. And correct, Warframe has a Nemesis system in somewhat. Many games do. That patent is not as ironclad as people think because it draws some very clear lines that most games wouldn't even try to do because it doesn't make sense for their game. So we, again, Ubisoft in particular has had a number of systems in place that rub up lightly against it, and Watch Dogs Legion being one, and every Assassin's Creed being two. Well, except for Mirage, that kind of stuff. I thought Johnny's most played game would be Space Marine 2.
Oh, you're right.
Is
actually.
he right?
Yes.
So from there,
I've got 150 on that.
There you go. That'll be your most, probably, right?
Yeah.
From there, can I shout out the games makers at WB? I don't care if you like their games or not. The fact that during the purchase, they forgot or basically stated that they didn't take into account WB's game output is, I've never seen it before. There's a couple announcements in the last 5 years that stun me. The Japanese CEO absolutely deballing Bungie. I've never seen it. If you know anything about how the Japanese usually talk about business, nobody's ever seen it. It caused like a stir where people are like, holy shit, they must be mad. It would be like your mom who usually says, phooey, I dropped the muffins, calling you, a name, telling you you're fat, and telling you I'm not making muffins, go get a job. Like, the idea of it is absolutely alien. And they dunked the fuck on Bungie, which indicates that it's way worse than people expect. It's a disaster, especially if they're doing it. WB not getting even a tagline for games in a purchase is...
Yeah, that's nuts.
Because they do Mortal Kombat, which sells. It's not that
they have some big ones.
I don't need to love it to... I mean, and Mortal Kombat's I don't dislike. It's just not... it depends on the game and all that. Dude, it was really sad, man. Imagine, what if we all went out, 4 of us went out. I meet you up, right? You, me, Reg, and Silver. And for the next 2 weeks, when I'm talking about us going out, I don't ever mention you. That's a fuckery of unbelievable proportions.
Yeah.
Imagine that shit. If I'm like, yeah, what if we stayed at your place? It's even worse. We stayed at your place. You put us up for the weekend. And we don't mention you? What the fuck, man?
It's like Frodo in Lord of the Rings never says Legolas' name.
Yeah.
He
and I
doesn't.
mean, that's a financial thing. It's millions of dollars they just didn't care about. That is pure fuckery. And did you see his announcement when he talked about it? He admitted, he's like, we just didn't even, it made we didn't even care about them enough to investigate.
It was just like a moving decimal or whatever.
Well, they didn't even take it into account. There was no decimal. There was no number. That's how bad it was. It's just damn, what? So my hope is what it really means is that Netflix's desire to do games means that they were just going to intake whatever they were doing and move forward. Does it mean that? No, that's not how it works. It really does mean they didn't care. I mean, there's multiple places and multiple people who,
in the grand scheme
of thing. Yeah. In the grand scheme. Yeah. Maybe they thought
but I'm
it was
sure
too
they
small
do
to
want
worry,
to
but
push
they do
more
want to push
for games. You know, they've tried. They've tried a bunch.
Yeah, it's crazy that, like you and I, when we buy stuff, I mean, we look at the price of everything, right? And multi-billion-dollar companies do as well. You find it with Microsoft. You find it with Sony. They'll itemize everything because that's their job. Financially, you are there to itemize everything. How do we know? Because they know exactly what employees that they don't need due to maybe doubling up on positions when you hire people. All this kind of stuff, right? So I guess we could say it one of two ways. They're ignorant completely, and that is a dire situation to be in, or you didn't matter, and that is a dire situation to be in.
Damn.
Either way,
that is a tough pill to swallow too.
It is a tough pill. Yeah. And by the way, it's finances. It is black and white. So if somebody's like, well, it could be something, it's black and white. Those are finances. Like dollar, no dollar. There isn't any like way of saying like maybe something. It's like dollar or no dollar. It's finances. That was the financial people's job to do that. And the fact that they probably did and no one cared is, man, I feel for those. I feel for those developers. And do you know the bad tidings that brings? And I know it brought some because I've seen it. I've seen actual typings of people who work at those companies. It's going to resonate for a while, man. Mortal Kombat was one of the best-selling fighting games. Sometimes had more players than SF and Tekken. Yes, I know. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Damn, dude.
WB is evil for not acknowledging them? Netflix, you mean, not WB. What else do we got for questions? You said you had one more?
Yeah, one more came in. I think it was Bossman. His nick in Discord is name invalid.
Oh, that's invalid. He keeps popping into chat. We'll be in chat. And I keep seeing him come in, and my brain goes, "Oh, there's something wrong with Discord because his name's like XX invalid X."
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He says, "Do you think AI could be used for enemy learning? Like instead of them just having a set path, a set response, the enemy AI could learn from player interactions and adapt? Like take Division, for example. They see an SMG, so instead of rushing you, they learn to maintain distance."
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way around that. I think the way around it will be to make sure that the enemy chooses paths that make sense to the player and don't look goofy. Also, if your AI is too smart, it'll play Go in Division, and you're going to hate that because you won't be able to figure out what the enemy's doing, and it'll beat you every time. Remember we talked about Go?
Yeah. It will always have the upper hand because it can process information better than you. It knows like what the responses that work are for certain things.
Well, let me give you an example just off the top of the cuff. When you're playing D&D, a lot of players play D&D 1 or 0. Enemies in front of them, hit the enemy. Enemy stands there, doesn't do anything other than maybe take cover, and then you kill them. That's pretty much D&D for a lot of people. So the first time, this is like 30 years ago when we were playing D&D, I had an enemy pretend to retreat and yell a bunch of shit. And then when he got around the corner, his friends were there. That's something you'd see Indiana Jones do or something, where they like pretend to run off and they're like, oh my God. But in real life, they have friends behind them. My players were so greased up by that. They were like, what the fuck? They fooled us, that every single thing from that point on was risky because they didn't know. They were like, oh shit, they might do what we do. I would love a shooter game to do that. Imagine a Division. So Division has that spawn system. You'll be fighting, and sometimes you can pull or kite other enemies. Kiting is generically pretty fucking boring because you know, how many times have you gotten a fight in a game like Division and you're like, if I go too far to the right, there's an enemy patrol that's going to come over. But they're not hearing me, even though I'm firing guns. They're right there, and they haven't turned towards me. But imagine... Because
you know the range. You know,
they know the range
or whatever.
The game is set up that way. But imagine an enemy who, when you start blasting them, they're like, we need help. I'm going to get help. And they run off. Now, we've seen that in a couple games. I want to see it in a lot of games. I think that kind of stuff would be great. What if you show up and you're lighting everybody on fire? And so the enemy has a choice. Go to the left to get enemy, or to get player or other characters that are armor clad, which may not be as useful, or go to the right and get the enemies who use fire themselves so they're more resistant to fire. Those kind of things don't require AI at all. They don't. What the in-between, the movements, all of that kind of stuff, those could require AI, or they could give a developer the idea. Do you know what I would like to do? If you were going to use AI in your game, instead of generating stuff, what if you have AI take control of your character, your enemies, and you watch what they're doing, and then you tell the programmer or the programmers watching this, and they go, the AI did 5 or 6 things we haven't thought of before, so we're going to take those and build those. That would be great. I think that's a really smart use of AI, to where you just let it run and see if it sees something you haven't seen, which is what they're doing in medical, what they're doing in science, what they're doing in astrophysics. Let it see some stuff and then go, boom, okay, we got an idea. Also, let's improve co-op bots.
Definitely.
I don't want a bot, you know, consistently quoting Shakespeare at me and deciding if I'm worth saving. But how many bots have we seen with pretty bad AI because of CPU usage? If you can run that and pre-bake that early, do some different things, train it on what close means. How many times have you got a guy to save you and he uses the last health? By the way, I saw this on a game just recently. The guy, I was down. The guy leaps over a box, runs to me to heal, fires, uses the healing he had for me, and then bends down to try to heal me anyway because the CPU cycle hadn't updated. So he bends down, there's no healing, and he stands right back up, and I'm like, I would rather had him not save me. I would have rather had him just take out the enemies, then come and save me. Those kind of things would be cool. But again, a lot of that doesn't require AI to be running in the way that people think of AI. But I do think testing things would be great. Yeah, testing things would be fun.
Yeah, testing would be great. I think some games you wouldn't want the enemies to adapt or learn.
Not too much.
Because
too much, yeah.
I mean, think about like a Dark Souls game where the enemies are constantly learning what players do and like how to counter them and stuff.
Yeah.
That would be very frustrating. And you would have a moving goalpost where like day 1 to beat that game looks completely different than day 100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a live service game like Division, that could be cool because then that's another element of the game's evolving.
Of the game evolving.
Of the grind. The game, you know, that could be cool. And I like the idea of your co-op bots at least getting some of the behaviors right. Like, hey, listen, nobody just wastes the heal. Makes no sense. Nobody's healing someone who doesn't need it. Or if there's just one enemy left, kill the damn enemy, and then we're good. You know, like that type of stuff. Yeah.
And again, a lot of that doesn't require any AI whatsoever. It requires manpower, which is why I'm saying use run the AI, watch the bot do his shit with heat maps, which is what a lot like Ubisoft, everybody does right now, which is where you have a bot that's playing the game at night. And I think it was Vermintide that mentioned their bot. They woke up and then they look at the spreadsheet. The Assassin's Creed devs have talked about this as well, where they look at like sort of their digital spreadsheet and it will show red indicating too many CPU resources are used here, frame rate dropped. and NPC couldn't climb this ladder, so we have to go look at the ladder. And that's just a general bot who has some fuzzy logic of just running around the game world. But imagine with an enemy set, you sort of see that and you're like, you know what? Our QA testers seem to have figured out that a grenade here and a grenade there running around seems to always work. Should we adjust that? But it is a game in the end. It is a game, like you mentioned. And NVIDIA's talked about scaling bosses, which evolve as you play. Now, that's something I would love to see. Not every boss, but bosses that do different shit at different times, utilize different moves that might be more or less risky. But there's some stuff there that I'm not smart enough to know anybody's particular game. But if I was making a game, the idea of a boss that isn't just, oh, his cloak moved, so he's for sure attacking here, or maybe there's some stuff in the room that he can use. There's, just different little things. We'll have to see, but it'd be cool. It'd be cool to see what they can do. I don't think a lot of that requires AI. I think it requires
some of that
is where
is
AI
either
is going to be used.
Input reading or, just programming of different, like if the enemy sees you heal, it makes sense that they would try to attack you, like punish you, like Dark Souls, you see that.
Or what
that's
if they
not
stun
AI,
you?
that's just program.
That's just programming, yeah. What if they stun you and they're like, oh, he had to heal. I'm now going to run over to the last healing pack and guard that more than I would normally. Little things. And I'm not saying that would even be fun. That's the thing. It still has to be fun, right?
And that's the trick, because input reading can be super frustrating in certain games where an enemy can like perfect block you because they have perfect input reading. That makes no sense. Nobody wants that. And the few times we've seen it in some Souls games, it's been, kiboshed as something we don't want.
Yeah.
But some of it does make sense, like the healing thing makes sense, right? Like the boss is seeing you do this thing that makes you vulnerable.
Yeah. So they take
it does make sense that they go for
difficulty.
They take advantage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. We'll have to see, because I'm sure somebody's going to play with this. Check Nate Stallion, $5 super chat. Thank you very much. As always, super chat's what keeps us going. It's what keeps pretty much everything here without being sponsored to all end out. I gotta find a sponsor. Maybe I'll do like, I don't know, Depends men's altar garments, because we're in here for 4 hours.
Audible is. I've always thought Audible could be a good one, because we can talk about stuff we listen to and like make it a bit more organic.
Do you know how stupid I am? The moment you said Audible, I was like, well, then I would make sure I don't talk about Audible during the entire podcast, because I would feel, I don't know. I got to get over. Yeah.
Feels a bit icky. If we do it right, it could be good.
Do you know how many we already do? We already do a shit ton. Sometimes I wish we would talk about something and then somebody would come later and say, here's $5, because then at least I could be like, it had nothing to do with, but it's so weird. So anyway, $5 super chat. I bought the physical deluxe Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection on Switch 2 from VGP. I don't know what that means. To support the no game key card movement. The arcade cabinet UI is a cool touch. Oh. Huh. I didn't know that was a thing. That's cool. Godskin Apostle chucking a fireball the moment you touch your Estus flask. Yeah. That is true. A beanie sponsor. Get sponsored by mints you pop every 5 minutes. I don't think I don't think I choose one mint. So when you're talking
Monster maybe
for 8 hours a day, you gotta
or Mountain Dew.
Dude. Yeah. So I've got Boom. And then I've finished Lime Green Monster, which was pretty goddamn good.
Okay.
And then I've got 1 Mountain Dew, 2 Mountain Dews.
They are completely invisible, by the way. There you go. I saw that one.
Yeah.
I got it. Dude, I actually had Mountain Dew for the very first time the other day. It's not very common here. Yeah. But I had one. It wasn't the normal. It was like the citrus flavor. It was fantastic. I love that. Good? Yes.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Great.
I know that everybody's got their drink levels, but
have I been told a lie? It's not citrus?
It's citrus. Citrus. Yeah. But citrus makes sense for you, because Ceres and Sirius also messed you up a little bit when you're first starting to learn, because it's a weird the way the letter drops. Oh, it makes sense. You liked it though?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, those are great, dude.
A pop or soda depending on where you are, East or West Coast. They're just good. I like that. It's like it replaced milk.
I don't know if I've gotten used to the sugar-free ones, but they taste great for me. I've never missed the normal, sugary ones.
Dude,
I just pretty much like stick with sugar-free. It's pretty great.
It's probably smart because when I was growing up, all these would be real solid sugar.
Oh, me too. When I was a kid too. Yeah, you would get the high and low.
I would have my friends would come over and there'd be anyway, a lot of normal Mountain Dew. And one day,
wait, how much Mountain Dew did you drink?
Way
man?
Over 48 a day. Way over. Way over. No,
oh
not
my
every day.
Lord.
We'd be playing D&D and we start at 8 a.m. and we'd finish the next day at like 5 p.m.
That is a mega session, dude.
Yeah. And so we do our games and it was a insane amount to the point to where I'm glad I switched to a diet because like that's you know, even if it's got like fake sugars in it, the amount of real sugar I was taking in was certainly offsetting any negative that the fake sugar. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But
your body must have been like, what the actual frick is going on, dude? Like I'm just
because,
intaking.
Like, I don't smoke or drink, so like if I did, it'd probably be a problem. Yeah. But my numbers are always fine. Like I go check them and stuff like that. They're good. But I'm not saying anybody else should do that. Everybody's got their vice. I don't smoke or drink, so I'm not going to feel bad about drinking, a Mountain Dew.
No, it could be way worse.
It could be. I could be freebasing.
In fact, is for a large amount of the population. So
yeah. And sugar makes a definitive change in me as well. So I don't want to come down where we're in the middle of. I guess I don't really get like sleepy, but when I was a kid, I would definitely get the high, from drinking sugar. I mean, have an ice cream or whatever. It's sort of gone away. Also, to switch to Atkins, you can't really drink a bunch of sugar anyway, or low carb. Even though those fake carbs can turn real after a while. But yeah, I'm not going to drink or smoke or anything like that. So a little bit of pop always helps, or cola, depending on where you're from. Any other questions in chat?
And do a final check. No, that's what we got.
So
for questions,
I had a question. Carrick, why do you consistently mess up the JRPG titles, Trails and Tales? Now, I got to say, doesn't that seem obvious? Seems pretty obvious to me.
Yeah, it's literally a lexic distance of one character
letter or whatever. But regardless, I do that, especially because I don't play those too much. I played 1 or 2
I think
Tales
that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Because we hear so many of these titles, like Tales of blah, 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 and Berseria, and there are 10 different ones even there.
Yeah, I know a lot of people get mad because those are some of their favorite games too, but
yeah, and people will take it like almost an affront, like you got their game wrong.
Well, just be aware that like 90% of the time I'm also fucking around, so don't take it too personal. I don't really think a game is called like Gonad of the Century, but I will say it because I find it funny. That's just me. Let's see. Code Vein 2 is also coming out in 2026. Is that true? Code Vein?
Yes, that is January.
Okay.
Actually.
Did you do Code Vein 1?
No, I didn't like it very much based on what I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lombardo says, Carrick, why do you mess up an obviously easily mess-upable video game title? Mess-upable is a word I would use. I love that. Mess-upable. Mess-upable. I have a question. I often hear you pronounce dwarf as dwarf. Where did that come from? Words. How do you use them?
Dwarf.
Yeah. Yo, dude, you'll get people, especially if they're like Warhammer fans, they'll be like, actually. You'd be like, dude, seriously? If you're talking 600 miles an hour, it will all flow into one. What's also interesting to me is apparently some people live with people who talk like this. It's like, not in my world, man. You'll figure it out. If I'm talking about elves, I'm talking about fucking Warhammer, there's a good chance that if I pronounce it Durf, it still means dwarf. Dwarf. Stephen Dorff is a dwarf. It's true. No, he's not. He is short, though. God, he was good in Blade. I liked him as a bad guy. Anyway, moving on from that tangent. What else do we got for this week in gaming news? It's been sort of a quiet week. It's been sort of nonchalant. I think everybody was on New Year's, Christmas. They were like, not a lot of people were doing much. There wasn't a lot of game news.
Yeah, no. In fact, a lot of news outlets stopped for Christmas and New Year's. So it's pretty slow. I did see. Oh, no. Yeah.
New Year's Eve day. So do you like the celebration of New Year's Day as the day off, or would you rather have it be New Year's Eve day as the day off? Or does that matter to you?
Yeah, I think it should be Eve.
I like it as
for me.
I don't know why. I think the reason why, though, is drinking, right? Because you drink at New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
You don't want people going to work and being like, you know.
Yeah, and you stay up late, you know, at least I do. I like to, you know, stay up. I look at the fireworks, I don't go there. I just like watch it.
Do you have fireworks that you can see outside your window or whatever that you can see up?
No, I'm not quite close enough for that. Although like people do them in the street, so it is legal to do a bit of that. So I can see a bit of that, and then I just watch the BBC.
Fireworks are such an amazing thing. It really doesn't matter how old you are. Most everybody I know loves fireworks. Fireworks are awesome. Fireworks is that one day of the year, like whether it be 4th of July or New Year's, where you're able to get your demolition in. You know, you're able to blow some shit up, or maybe not blow stuff up because most don't blow up, but you're able to light some fires and stuff legally and go out there and mess around. And some of them are great, man. We had some good fireworks this year. Some are insane. We had some pretty insane fireworks this year that were legal. I'm saying just bought at the store, and I was quite surprised how good they were. A lot are shitty compared to when I was a kid, where people would just light a seal bomb on fire and just let them go off. And those things are like quarter sticks of dynamite. And you'd be like, what the fuck? But they were still really good. Yeah, dude. Where I was growing up.
Dude, somebody lost an arm and a leg.
There was definitely some stuff that was illegal. You know, you'd be playing around with your little firecrackers, your little, you know, what was it called? Lady fingers, I think, were the small ones, you know, bang, bang, bang. And then occasionally across the way, you'd hear that. Boom. You know, like you see a little mini mushroom cloud go, and you'd be like, somebody had something. It was definitely not legal. What else do we got for topics?
So I saw that Dispatch sold 3 million copies in 2025, and that only around 5% of players beat the game without romancing anyone.
Oh, I thought you meant beat the game at all. Jeez.
Which I didn't know was possible, actually.
To not romance?
I thought you would kind of default to one or the other. 3 million, pretty good. I was happy with that for that game.
Was it on any service? Was it on PlayStation or Xbox? Okay.
No, I don't believe so. That's a good point.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't a Game Pass.
It wasn't Game Pass?
I don't think so.
Because either way, if it was 3 million on Game Pass, that's even better, because that means some people didn't buy it, still did 3. But 3 million as a whole for that game? Yeah.
Solid, man.
For them, I think it's very solid. I know it was in development a long time, so I don't know what that cost was or how many people they were paying, but I feel like 3 million is good. What did they charge for that one? Was that 40?
That's a good question. I think it was lower than that. Let's see.
Maybe 25?
The full price is £25, so it might be like around 30.
Okay.
$30.
Yeah, it'll be a little over 30 maybe. It depends. When I was paying you for I was going to tell you this. I was paying you for the podcast because of the money change. I put in my number and I was like, Johnny's going to get like $40. What the fuck? Dude,
it's just so much lower, right? With the conversion.
The conversion's ridiculous. I was like, damn. That's not a complaint. I found it more funny than anything. I was just like, tap, tap, tap. What the fuck? You guys, at least in the last 3 or 4 years, have like shot up. People are saying that they've stepped away from Code Vein. Okay. Didn't like Code Vein. Niche says, I got the no romance ending because I kept it professional. Profesh. It was very hard to keep it profesh because you got one chick.
It really was.
She was leaping at you with her legs open. Like your boss.
It's like just like wet dreaming.
Yeah, that's like the other one. Yeah, they were, but both of them were just like, it was like they were coming at you from all directions.
One is like, hey, check out my areola.
Dude, okay. Thank you for mentioning that. She said she had been trying to get the dress on for like 40 minutes, but then when you turn around, It
Yeah,
does make
come
you
on.
wonder, was that on yeah. That is funny.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah, I love that game, man. I can't wait.
It's great.
If they do a season 2, great. If it, it sounds like they will, but if not, in their next game, I'm excited for it. I think Dispatch was just one of those games that was fantastic, pretty much from start to finish.
They nailed
loved
pretty much everything. They, there isn't one element that was really weak, because a lot of times in those games, there's the one thing that you kind of hate, like the one puzzle or the one mechanic that's annoying. But actually was overall really fun.
I think they kept it they kept everything to a minimum that was going to stop you from engaging with the story, but they kept just enough in there that got you to go back to the story,
Yep.
Strevin says saved in Visibitch, so mission accomplished. Who'd you like better?
Yeah. That's a tough one. I liked both.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like both. My first playthrough, I did the other lady, the blonde blazer. Okay, gazer is something else entirely.
What was I going to say?
That's a very graphic image.
My opinion is, if anybody in the world's throwing themselves at you a bunch, they probably throw themselves at everybody. So I stayed away from Invisibitch because she could just turn invisible.
Oh, really?
And you couldn't see the herpes sores. Yeah, she disturbed the fuck out of me. She was way too much.
I liked her
talking
her
about
voice acting so much.
When she's like, I'm the pegger, and he's like, what?
Oh yeah.
Like, there was all these. I thought she was funny as hell.
Yeah.
But I went with.
She was a bit
Gazer.
like
call it Gazer from now on.
Too heavy.
Yeah,
too heavy on that.
Yeah,
very much so.
The best,
but there was something about the voice I really liked.
The best thing ever, though, is the moment it happened. The moment it happened, I was watching somebody play it, and I was like, imagine if the roles were reversed, and he was talking like she did. Imagine the outcry in gaming that would.
Yeah.
This, let me explain to you the 7 ways this guy's toxic. And she's like, I had a dream about fucking you last night. Blah, 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 blah. She's in the men's bathroom telling you this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn, imagine if that shit was reversed. But instead, everybody was like,
yeah, because it's also
cool.
Like power dynamics, because he's like the boss or whatever. So that would also play really badly.
Everybody just thought she was brave. She was brave because she embraced her feelings.
She was brave.
Whatever. Yeah, I hate that double standard kind of shit, but I did like the game. 3 million.
Yeah.
No scoff. That's great.
Yeah,
that's incredibly exciting to see them do well. Jet says, "What's up, Jet? Gonna have to catch us tonight." Just popping in to say why he's gonna have to catch it tonight, because he's probably playing Where Winds Meet still. Dude, that guy's most played game gotta be Where Winds Meet.
Damn.
Every time I look online, that dude's playing Where Winds. He's gotta be his top. If it's not his top,
he does have
crazy.
Ninja in his name. So
he does, but you're not ninjas, remember? Come on, Johnny Chinese. It's not ninjas.
Really? Isn't it all just sort of adjacent?
The number of angry comments who are going to come in and say that it's racist is high. You're going to... Who cares? It's a game, peeps. And it's a game where you're flying around. So if you're going to have an issue with somebody messing up on Ninja... we did get a lot of ninja and samurai and martial arts games this year. So with Neo coming out this year, and a couple others, I am excited to see more. I would love to see, Azura's Wrath or Azura's Wrath. Azura's Wrath was based on, I believe, Indian mythology, if I remember. I could be wrong on that. Then you got God of War doing theirs. I like to see different mythologies. So like seeing the China stuff is actually pretty enticing because it's just different way. So my big hope is that we get some more. I don't know where they would be. I would love to see Russian stuff. I could be wrong. I don't think Russia is necessarily Baba Yaga, but like their kind of dark mythologies that they've had in the past and spiritual stuff that they've had, or evil things in the woods kind of stuff. I love that. I would love to see all this kind of, Australia has some really cool shit. It'd be cool to see more of this stuff. I like the idea. Ancient China had their own ninjas, though. Here we go. Anyway, moving on from there. But I do agree. If you want to call them ninjas, it's fine. Let's hope there's no ninjas in Forza Horizon 6. Dude, I would love... Anyway, yeah. Forza Horizon 6 is going to be in Japan, though, man. The break glass to get out of jail kind of thing is finally popped off. Let's hope. Let's hope.
Yeah.
I love myself a Forza. I'm excited, man, because I also like racing. I got my wheel set back up. Got my flight stick set up. Was doing some X reunion yesterday while streaming. That was fun. Getting back into the racing.
Do you do like the
flight
pedals
stuff
as well?
I
or
have
just
rudders somewhere.
everything on the wheel?
I can honestly tell you, you mean for driving? Yes, I have pedals.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I
The
have pedals.
full experience.
Yeah, I did a mod for load cells. Now there's mods for everything. Dude, every steering wheel has mods. Every gear shift has mods. Every pedal set has mods. Basically, now if you buy something, even if it's somewhat low end, you go to Etsy, somebody's fixed an issue. It was
really?
Yes. I was blown away how old. They had steering wheels working with new sets. They had all kinds of, they're like, oh, if you do this mod, you can use this on this. You can use this on this. They have mods that like attach to any steering wheel for your cell phone to be a display of your tachometer and all that kind of stuff. They just had.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was crazy. And so I have the Gennaro sets, but even I was looking at those going, man, maybe I'll get one or two. Because I've used the tablet in the past for a secondary HUDs, that kind of thing. But yeah, I was stunned at how many.
Well, that's cool to hear because, for example, joysticks tend to be tricky with the support where like certain games like Ace Combat would only support
certain ones,
specific joysticks and certain ones. So it's cool to see.
Most of them have hacked USB drivers now, or matter of fact, I found a program yesterday that's open source that translates any buttons on anything to any other buttons on anything. So even if you have an old joystick, it'll translate it to the normal USB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which then can be read
takes the
no matter what
analog input.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Pretty crazy stuff. But yeah, it's cool to see. It's too expensive though. I mean, well,
what's like for the wheel? Because those can be very pricey.
So you can get like T150s or T300s for 300. 300 and below you can get stuff that'll be raceable and be totally fine. 300.
What are the couple things you look for on a wheel for it to be,
a full size wheel or close to it? Because a lot of them will skimp on the wheel size, and you'll get a baby wheel.
It would be like
it'll look like you're driving a fucking Shriner car during a parade. You'll be like, tick, 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 tick. Yeah. So 11-inch wheels are bigger. Newtons are a big deal to a lot of people. So it's called clipping. What'll happen is your steering wheel will get to its max pushback force really quickly. So it's hard to feel the finesse if you hit a rock versus hit the wall, right? And so a lot of them are getting more and more, pressure that they can apply to the driver's hands. And that doesn't mean they're always applying it. It can be very difficult at times to like realize what that means. It doesn't mean it's just fucking impossible to turn. It means that it's like HDR.
The range is
a low level,
bigger.
A low level's this, high level's this, which means when you bump into anything, there's more play.
Right.
And it feels better.
So you have more granularity in the response. That's cool.
Then how you want to shift. One of the craziest mods is $5 that really does improve paddle shifters. So paddle shifters can feel pretty clicky and pretty shit. So a bunch of people on Etsy created what's called it's basically a magnet shifter. You put these on the back of your pedals and they hold the pedal harder. So when you do click it, it feels much more tactile. I am for sure going to third gear, not instead. So all it is a magnet that holds that pedal back harder. And then you have to click away from it. Sounds so dumb, but I saw it talked about all the time. So I was like, I'll get one. And it absolutely improves the feel. And then the rest, honestly, is the person. I mean, dude, I've seen people be like, oh, I have a Logitech with a gear and I don't like the clunkiness. And I have another person who has I have a Logitech and I have Thrustmaster. My Logitech has the old gear set. And I got to admit to you, I've played that for hours. No real issues whatsoever. But you'll hear some people are like, oh, no, it needs to be the new electro motors. The only problem is they get really hot. Steering wheels, I don't think people realize how hot a steering wheel gets. Because if a steering wheel is constantly moving, that's a motor. And that motor is in your little steering wheel section, just like grinding away, pushing you left and right so they can get pretty warm. And then brake, clutch, and gas. You'll see a lot of 2 pedal sets. That sort of sucks. You need a 3-pedal set. If you get a 2-pedal set, it's not gonna feel great. Well, unless you just do automatic. I don't like it though. It feels off when you have 2 pedals. Let's see. I have a G923. Somebody else says that's been the go-to entry wheel for years. Yeah, 923 and the Thrustmaster 100 or 300 are both good. But yeah, under 300 is easy. Talking about steering wheels and flight sticks just made me fantasize for Steel Battalion 2 with VR support. Yeah. I will say another thing is, just like audio, Johnny, you get into any of these items, it's all a buying craze. You have people being like, well, the only entry wheel or joystick is this, and you look at the price and you're like, seriously? That's the only entry? Because I see like 900 entries below that. I'm definitely more utilitarian, just like Pico headsets. If I can get 80% for 150% less money, I will do that. I'm not doing it enough. If I'm putting a racing system in my house, you can bet I'm going to spend a bunch on the racing wheel. Otherwise,
because
I'd be an
it
idiot.
feels like they push you towards the, flagship.
Yeah. Dude, I've had people who are still playing with the $79 Thrustmaster HOTAS, which still separates. You got your, I think you might have one, but I've got one.
I think I have that.
I have a Rhino, another one, and then I've got that one. And no lie, because it's easier to set up and it doesn't have as many doohickle fang danglies, with all these special switches. Sometimes I'll be like, dude, I just want to play a flight game for a little bit. I'm just plugging this fucking thing in and going.
Dude, that was actually my problem with that controller, because you have so many buttons. And, in that game, it's just kind of messy. Your hotkeys get lost every now and then. And then you need to, now after months, go back in and try to remap absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Only to find out you forgot these two crucial buttons that now you don't know where to put. It's just, that's why I was thinking of getting a simpler one for Ace Combat.
All you have to do is like right stick weapons, left stick all maneuvers and information. So like on mine, all the stuff on the left is gas, information in games, like highlighting
navigation,
enemies. Yeah, and then
stuff.
on the right is switching the 65 weapons. But you'll have people who are like have 75 weapon sets. I mean, I've beat most of those games with no weapon sets or like 4. Guns.
Yeah.
Here's my weapon set in a game. Guns. All the weapons shot at once. I always have to have a get out of jail free
everything.
card.
Absolutely everything.
Yeah, the Death Blossom from the last Starfighter. Everything, just fire everything. And then third will be missiles, whatever missile, and fourth will be countermeasures or another missile if they have a torpedo. Because a lot of games will have like your Sidewinder style missiles and then your more like big cruise ship missile. That's it. And I beat all the games. So it's like, it works. You
don't need, everything.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. Strevin says, do you guys do driver's seat, hood, front bumper, or third person camera? I do them all. I don't think front bumper's great. So is hood. So I do them all. I was just going to pretty much say, I think third person's the most difficult one at times. It just depends on the racing game. Like in some games when there's a bunch of cars around you, third person can help you see them without having to look left and right to different things, where if I'm just by myself, I don't use third as much. I use, because it's like trying to get down the line, so it'll be hood.
Well, I think the third gives you a sense of more control, because you can see the entire
to me,
picture of what's going on.
I agree, but there's something about the delay in the car reacting to my steering wheel that feels weird.
And I think, in fact, that's a crutch maybe for people like me who aren't good at those games, where like the third person view maybe gives you a feeling of more control, but actually I think it's much more responsive if you're right up there in the, on the hood.
I can see it helping you sliding because you can see your ass end versus having to feel it too. And then gamepad, not gamepad, if that also checks. But yeah, you know what I always say? Whatever you like doing is what you should do. Who gives a shit? Like do, and not to Strevin, I'm just saying who gives it, whatever somebody likes to do.
True.
That works for them. Unless they're trying to put time to miles on something and fucking, getting leaderboards, I wouldn't worry too much about it, as long as you can do well. Let's see, what else? In GT7, I do hood cam because they don't have adjustability for cockpit. Interesting.
Yeah, cockpit is weird. Do you like the view with like from inside the car?
For sim elements, I like it. It would definitely be a cheat or not a cheat. It would definitely be easier if it's hood, because you can see exactly where you're going, whatever. You don't have a cutoff view. But I like the sim of being inside the car, and the sounds of cars are almost always better when you're in the car than out, because if you're on the engine, Sometimes you can't even hear stuff because the engine's so loud. It depends on how they mix it.
I never thought about that.
And if you were in a car with a huge engine, if they mix it right, you might not hear the wheels squeak or like losing traction for a little bit of time.
Yeah,
just
like the response of the car is different.
Yeah, so it all depends. It depends on the game. Some games are really simmy, and that makes sense, and some games are not.
Because I always thought in the cockpit, so much of it is dead real estate on your screen.
Yeah,
it's like it's stuff that's not moving. But on the other hand, you have all the gadgets, right? So you're seeing your indicators and stuff.
And they're in the right place, Johnny, because so not every game does this, but if a game puts them too far to right or left, that can be difficult because you're,
if you're having to.
Yeah. But I've seen a lot of games do the digital HUD, which is great, or the HUD, or adjustable HUD, which is great. It's just it's all and how simmy do you want to be, Like if it's super sim, again, if there's a bunch of racers around you, maybe third is much more useful at times to not have to look to the rearview mirrors, because a lot of games won't have a wide enough view to see both mirrors anyway. So like if you want to see to your right next to you, some games you have to literally move the joystick or the gamepad to look over there. Third person you wouldn't have to. So in cockpit with Track IR is awesome. Yeah, I've used Track IR. I think Track IR is pretty good. Actually, it's made some insane headway. Definitely headway. It's not a joke about Track IR, but I'm going to leave it. Let's see. Have you tried GT7 in VR? Have I? Maybe. I don't remember. Man, I don't know if I have. Yeah, I don't know if I have. Sorry. Happy New Year, everybody. Yep. Happy New Year to you. What else do we got? Any news popped up while we've been talking?
I saw that Tabletop Simulator announced a free 2.0 update that's going to have like a full UI overhaul and a marketplace for like paid mods. So that's interesting.
What do you think about the explosion of people saying that because they're doing paid mods, everybody who made all the free ones is going to charge and bring down the ire of companies that normally have not gone at that company?
Dude, I thought maybe this doesn't make sense, but I almost welcome that because I feel the mods are going to be higher quality if they are paid.
Okay.
So for me, also, by the way, privileged position. I can pay for a mod if I like it, for some people, maybe they just want as much free stuff as they can get. I totally get that perspective. But from my perspective, as someone who doesn't play a ton of different games, and I would play, 1, 2, 3 different things, the idea of actually paying for maybe official, semi-official, higher quality mod excites me more than the freeware stuff.
Okay. That checks out. Okay, listen. It's skirted the lines of legality for 7 years.
Dude, yeah.
When I
some of that stuff, how's it legal, man?
Kick the shit out of the line and fucking move it around.
Yeah.
And I've taken advantage of that and had some great times. However, it won't last forever. There's already been some pretty big takedowns recently in the last 2 or 3 years. I do think
not talking about the Discord user.
No, but I do think hugely it needed an update. It felt like trash using that system. That game's HUD is from DOS. That game's HUD is fucking horrendous.
Terrible.
So them doing an update to the HUD, making it more playable, is great for newcomers. And I do think that a lot of people, including family members of my own and friends of my own who I've tried to get to play, are like, I have no clue what's going on. Like, do I hold the card? Do I flick the card? Do I flip the table? There's just all kinds of weird shit with that. So I also agree with where you're coming from. I just don't know exactly what that all means. There is a new trailer for Dying Light 2 Renaissance that just came out. So Dying Light 2, what is it, guys? What's this new trailer? Let me look. Let me see. Dying Light 2 Renaissance. Dude, that's a hard word to spell. Okay, yeah. I'm not even close. Dying Light 2 Renaissance.
Okay, there's a teaser.
Oh, it looks like it's a... What? This isn't official? Oh, it's a mod. Okay. I don't know. All right.
Let's
Less interested now. I thought it was going to be a full-on update, but that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, Dying Light's a great game. I'm glad people like it. Dying Light 2 is a great game, too. I don't care what people say. I really enjoyed the shit out of it. I still play it. What else do we got? What do we have? 2 hours 30. No new science stuff either. I've been looking.
Not much popping around.
It's been such a quiet week, man. And I feel like January is the same way, where like there's not a lot coming out. It's going to be sort of a dead one. Oh, so people have been asking me why I name. So this is funny. Carrick, this is number one question I always get. Why do you name the preview videos You Are Ready for This? I get it. People in the chat probably know. The reason why is because I fucking hate YouTube naming. And I absolutely despise. I think it talks down to gamers when like, you are not ready for this. You don't even understand this. You don't, dude. It's a game. It's not a celestial event. It's a fucking game. So
people are ready.
People are ready. They are ready for it. And by the way, I think it bloviates the description of whatever you're talking about. You're like, what if now somebody's like, oh my God, this must be a big game change that nobody's ever seen before. No, it's a game. And you see it used all the time. So yeah, that's why I call it You Are Ready for This, because you are. If I ever put You Are Not Ready for This, you can guarantee your sweet ass. If you see that in a title from me, I really did find something special about it. And I will use it if something...
really catches you off guard.
But dude, I hate naming conventions right now. I fucking hate them because I can't tell what it's even trying to say. You are not ready for this because it's bad. Because I've seen that too. I just saw that. Somebody said, you're not ready for this game. And I went and got it. And they're like, you wouldn't believe how many problems this game has. And I was like, oh my God, that's not what I thought I clicked. Because I thought it was following in line with all the others. So I'm like, you are ready for this. And if you click it, great. People are also asking if I'm going to do a bunch of previews and never review again. No. But I do love the idea that if I do anything different, people are like, it's definitely over. It's for sure over. But I will say this. The previews do really well. They're a little slower. They don't usually pop off because they're not a review, but I'm not going to ever stop reviewing. Reviewing's a blast. But previews are something I haven't done a bunch of, and I like doing these because they don't require the company. I do not want to be involved with a company if I can. I like to do my previews on my own. I like them to be think pieces and maybe like little things I've heard or read, and I'll put those in the preview versus we went to a paid event. Doesn't mean I won't go to those, but it's just sort of fun for me. So fun. I do it because of fun. So fuck off. I'm just joking. Nobody's ever been that much of a dick. And the guy who was asking wasn't even a dick, but I was like, do other people get questioned on everything? Dude, the other thing, holy shit. So I've been using What the Fuck for years. And yes, Total Biscuit used to say, what the fuck is blah, blah, blah. So one day I named something. I couldn't come up with a name. So I was like, what the fuck is blah, blah, blah. Because we all say it. I feel like we all say it. People are like, fans who've known me for years, like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you should use that because it's like Total Biscuit, he's passed away. It's like nobody owns the naming convention of something. Like
the word.
Especially WTF. Like I mean, Christ. The internet owns that.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I don't use it a bunch, but I did use it. And then the other time was I think it was you. No, it wasn't you. It was me and somebody else. We were talking about something. I couldn't come up with a name. So I was like, we talk about this for a while. And people were mad because I guess he used to say, we're going to talk about a game for a certain amount of time. And I was like, Jesus, dude, if we do that at some point, you can't name your game. You can't name your video anything. And then that doesn't work either. It's like sometimes I'm pretty basic in my naming titles. I need to be catchier because I'll be all preview of, review of. I've tried to change it around, but clickbait I don't think works for me. I don't think people even click them if they see me use a clickbait title. Besides clickbait title, what does that even mean? How would you clickbait? Let's say we're reviewing Dying Light 3. How would you clickbait that? Would you be like, what the fuck? You're not ready for this.
We need to talk about.
We need to talk about.
Yeah.
We need to talk about. Yeah, that one's rough.
I think that the best way clickbait is done is when there's a direct response. That's like a call and response.
Yeah.
So it will be something in your title or thumbnail that will be kind of grandiose or outrageous, but it will. So that's the call, but it will have a quick response in your video where you are discussing that. You're explaining why you went with that. You know, what about the game had that for you? Because a lot of times what I see is here's this giant thing in the title, and then the review is just, it's a normal review. It doesn't map. So there's a call, but there isn't a response to that. And I don't mind the clickbait if there is that response, because it feels like fair, you know, like, okay, like for that person, that was a big deal. They explain why.
So if I said, I reviewed Destiny 2 in 2000, I reviewed the game that everybody says is a POS in 2026, and it's Destiny 2. Or let's say there's a real POS game, because Destiny 2 is not a POS game. But I guess what I'm saying is, let's say you get a game that got notoriously really rated lowly. You could probably say, I rate the game, I reviewed blank game that everybody thought was a piece of shit or something. You could do something like that, because you are calling to what the ratings were. But even that, see, and then it's too long. Like, yeah. By the time I get to the third letter, you know, in a title, I'm usually either clicking it or moving on anyway. Titles are weird because you could put preview blankety blank, or you could put blankety blank blank review, comma, preview, whatever. I don't know. I don't even know what works.
I've seen a lot of titles or thumbnails spoiling the verdict of the review.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Do not buy Gollum.
Right.
You know? And then, like, it's a review. And I've always found that weird, because to me, part of the interest in the video is seeing where you land with the story you're telling. You know,
if you put the score in the title, it's so that you get the people who are mad, who disagree, who watch, and the people who agree, who are mad or watch. You don't get the mystery of people who don't know who watch. So that's sort of a clickbaity title anyway. So if you put your score in, that's on purpose, so that you get people who either like it, who will watch, or who don't like it, who will watch. And you can definitely get more people talking if you put your score in the review, because that will immediately, you're getting both sides. So like in
you get a
clickbait
response,
way, that's
an
the
instant
best way to do it.
Reaction.
Yeah. So like if I said, don't buy blah, 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 that is purposeful in its domain of you're capturing both. The people who are like, why? I do want to buy it. And the people who are like, I agree, let's see why people agree with, or why I agree with Eric. So if you say this is a review of blankety blank, what I'll usually do is something that like, I'll try to mess with the words and be like, good ... in parts, so that people will watch it. But if you're just trying to get clicks, your best would be to put the score in, because you will get both sides. You will get twice as many if you put the score in than if you don't. And I've tested that 100 times.
Yeah.
Do you know what else I've tested? Clickbait versus not. So I'll do review or game review. That's pretty much it. And then I'll go in a day after and change the title. And Mr. Beast did a really good video on what changing the title, how worthwhile changing the title is. Because you just may not have hit the SEO. You may be like, oh, I didn't name this. You know, it's like legitimately not in the algorithm because of how I named it. And I've gone in there, and I will say clickbait definitely gets more of the opposite than the agreement. So if the game is reviewed poorly and I just put review, and then I say something like, this game is trash, whatever, I'll get more people who they already know it's trash. So they're not, or they think it's trash because they've seen other reviews. So they're not going to click on it. But the people who don't think it's trash, you will get them to comment. So what Mr. Beast was doing is the opposites. He was putting like, it's trash. Obviously, he doesn't do game reviews, but he was basically doing the negative. He would get those people to comment for a day, and then he would switch it to the positive to get the opposite people to comment for a day. I was like,
that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, the guy knows like him or hate him, that guy knows how to, like, and he's the
lives
one
and breathes.
I used to hate to change the title, and he's the one that when I started looking at it, he was talking about like how quickly YouTube now ingests the name change, puts it out there. We've done it with the podcast where I haven't liked our description of the podcast because I don't do a very good job calling attention to the podcast titles. I'll be like, 2026, some games are going to do pretty bad. That's not very catchy. but that's what we talked about. And so my brain is like, well, fuck, man, that's what we talked about. But then I'll go, okay, 2026, like I did with our thumbnail today, where I'm like, the year the games go, or the year the games go to die. That one's more catchy.
Yeah.
So you have to look at that, and because of how much competition, you definitely have to. But yeah, there's all kinds of ways to.
Yeah, you have to stand out in some way.
And the thumbnail standout's impossible. The yellow corner is all I stick to, and the rest of the stuff I'll just fuck around, because I don't think now it matters. Timing matters more. Are you early? Or I've noticed if I do a preview then a review, I get way more, because people, the channel, the YouTube is primed. They're like, oh, so-and-so click this preview, so therefore I want to show them the review, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's an odd one.
The whole thing with faces seems like it's not the big meta it was, like having your face on the thumbnail.
Oh, your face on the thumbnail? I will say this. Hey, listen, I click them. I'm being honest. When there's a listen, if I open up YouTube and there are pretty people on a thumbnail.
I hadn't thought of that, but
YouTube Shorts in particular really have primed you. YouTube Shorts have, a lot of OnlyFans are on YouTube Shorts, and they do some really
jiggered to respond to.
We are, yeah.
Pretty faces and stuff.
But man faces, no. If I see I've tested that by taking my face and being like, oh, the blowjob surprise face. And, a Twitch streamer pretending to play the game every 30 seconds, looking at his other screen so that people are watching him. That kind of shit. I'll put it on there. It works a little bit, but I think you're right. I think it's come down. I think there's so much content that people.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a reason why you go to many YouTube channels now. Their views are way down. It's not only competition, it's AI. It's videos that are 5-6 hours long. There's more creators, and it's now because that's why so many people are looking at not Rumble, but maybe Rumble, I don't know, but all these other places. But
yeah,
I don't even look like that when I get a blowjob, let alone when I see one. Like, who goes? Nobody. If you did that, that might be your first, maybe, I don't know. But it's the dumbest fucking thumbnail I've ever seen. But if it's a hot person, man or woman, or somebody who is already known, that does probably augment a bit. But I would say the big thing I think the big thing now is audience. That's why new people are having a hard time, and so they're gravitating towards drama, or you have to, so not have to, but I mean, you got to do something unique. And even myself, I mean, like, I'll change stuff up on purpose, because I'll be like, oh, that's why every year I take December off, sort of, and I look at what I'm going to change for the next year, because you have to adjust a little bit. I will say this. I'm so glad we didn't go with a platform-specific podcast, Xbox or PlayStation or Switch. Look at how dire that would be. You had 8 years where we didn't get a Switch 2. So if you're a Nintendo podcast, that's very difficult. If you're Xbox, we don't know where they're going. We know there'll be another one. But you don't know where they fit. If you do PlayStation, you sort of know where they fit, but there's a lot of people out there doing it, and it's sort of the most covered. So that's harder. So it's hard to do. It's hard to pick a platform. In fact, I like games. So that's why it's best gaming podcast. Well, it's honestly that, because of SEO, but I instantly click don't recommend channel whenever I see one of those thumbnails. That's the other thing. I'm sure people have done it to me too. That does sort of suck, but I get where somebody's coming from, where they say, I don't like this thumbnail, where they may not know I'm joking, because they don't watch the podcast, so they don't know I'm taking the piss. Somebody didn't know I was taking the piss with "You Are Ready." But I will tell you, if it's anti-establishment, I'm going to do it. That's for sure. So if I see a bunch of people saying we need to talk, I'll be like, that's why I named that one video, we do not need to talk about this. And I got a ton of people clicked on it, because they were like, why? And I was like, because we don't need to, but I'm going to anyway. I'm going to make a video. But yeah, we don't need to talk about it. It's crazy. Have the demographics of your audience changed? Yeah. Do you know when they changed? I was telling Johnny this. Telegram, man. Telegram exploded our subscriber count. Huge bonus. Thanks to Reg. It's almost always one of you guys who will, because I was like, Telegram is malware, right? I was talking to Reg one day. I'm like, Telegram is like malware and black market weapon. I don't know
like
what I thought it was.
Crypto groups or whatever.
Groups trying to sell me shit. And Reg is like, dude, it's billions of people, and it's outside of America. I think in fact, I still think it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest. He was like, no, a bunch of people use it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll find some people on Telegram, see how to set up accounts, blah, blah, blah. And holy shit, that helped. On the other hand, they don't all speak English. So a lot of them won't click. If I am messing or if I'm talking fast, like with you on a podcast, they probably won't watch it because it's 2 English people and they have to watch translations that are done by Google. And who knows what the fuck Google's saying we're saying.
God.
Every time I say blowjob surprised face, it's probably oral sex stunned or something. Well, hey, that actually might work.
That's close enough to the...
I hate that
Do
shit.
you have the AI translation enabled in your channel?
Personally, I don't think I do.
Because that got turned on, I think.
Think that...
By default.
Yeah, by default, right? I don't know. I don't know. I should probably check that. I don't know. I think it got turned on, but I'm pretty sure...
That would be funny.
I'm pretty sure
to hear Spanish.
I'm pretty sure I was in the Telegram. No, it wasn't Telegram. I was in a Slack with developers and some other YouTubers, and I'm pretty sure somebody there said they saw a pretty significant drop in viewership when they did that, probably because there's 2 versions of the AI subtitles, and people are probably accustomed to the auto that wasn't involved in the channel. I don't know. I'm literally talking out my ass. I have no...
Oh, dude, I was talking about the dub.
I know.
Like the AI dub. Okay.
Yeah, but I think people are used to the subtitles. I mean, I don't know what a dub sounds like. Can you imagine me?
They're very bad.
A dub? It'd be fucking horrendous. Unless I did like T-Pain. I'm like, you can probably, that'd be actually pretty fucking sweet. Do you remember the time I took the review and played it through the old, I don't know if you ever watched this, but I did a Transformers review. And then in the middle of the night, I got an idea to record it and let the old auto dubbing figure it out word wise and then read it, sort of like the AI reviews. And it's still one of my favorite because I just read what it thought I said and it was so wrong. And it was, you can hear me laughing through the entire thing because I'm just reading what the AI thought I said. That was back in the day when that shit wasn't good. Now it's probably too good, right? Now it's probably like perfect. Is this my real background? I just got a DM. No, it is not. Dude, that's a sweet ass background. A lot of speakers in this background, guys. A lot of speakers. I feel like that is not the best setup for...
Yeah. Wow.
Dude, what's he got? 1, 2, 3. He's got quads, but on the left, only 1 woofer. On the right, 2, 2, 2. Oh, no, he's got another one. I see it. It's hidden a little bit. Is that a real place, do you think?
Right.
Why would you have a couch?
No.
Maybe, I don't think so, right? Oh,
I don't think that's real.
There's flowers on the left with no base, no vase, no vase. They're just on the left with nothing.
There we go.
This was done before AI
Busted.
too. So no, this was done well before AI. This was like, I used this like 6 years ago. So this looks like it might have been a Photoshop, like somebody messed around.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if they do rooms like this where the desk is in the same room as the people playing. Very often they have like some separation.
Right, but the glass shows another studio. See the glass in the back?
Well, yeah, back there.
Yeah, I know what you're saying though. That is weird, right?
I mean, the instruments are in this room. It's kind of weird.
That's really weird, and it feels like acoustically, even if every wall was covered with acoustic surface, you have a hardwood floor, and as somebody who has hardwood floors, talk about how hard it is to fix your audio. Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, that's not the couch I'm familiar with. That's exactly what I was thinking is Brazzers. But, or what is it, casting couch? There's one that is literally just shows a black couch. I think they got shut down. I don't know. I can't remember. But I was going to say one other thing is the AC. I had the AC on in a video a couple weeks ago, and trying to remove the AC sound from everything else was ridiculously hard. Like the idea of hardwood floor just magnifies that.
Yeah.
That's Diddy's recording studio, thus the couch. I don't know. Diddy seems like a no couch man to me. He seems like there'd be a bed there, like a big white bed in the center, and then just lube everywhere. The floors would be slick with lube. You'd see footprints in lube where they were walking around. Can you believe that guy that guy barely got any charges against him, man? What the fuck?
That's crazy. Yeah.
It is, man. It shows you, I guess, what to aspire to if you want to be a criminal. Because, dude, that with the amount of shit that guy did, and he got like, I don't know, 2 cases of something, I think. But 2 cases of lube. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like the setup. I'm going to change it. Oh, wait, he's got some pretty good chairs, though. Those are like, what are those?
Yeah.
Those are Ergo. Delta Ergos, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, you see, the problem is that you can't really play guitar with these.
Ooh, no. You wouldn't even be able
armrests.
to put you wouldn't even be able to hold the guitar right?
In fact, the left chair
Left
is not generated correctly.
Must be this left chair.
Like the one to your right.
It's missing an arm on the
the arm is kind of missing.
Dude,
I never realized until now.
Maybe this was AI.
Maybe it was.
This has been ages ago. This might be like really good Mid-Journey or something. I don't know. I just looked up studio
because it's
pictures
definitely
from my
very
background.
good. You have to look very intently.
Those are Tekka baby oil.
Yeah,
I
found.
I've heard don't mix well. You've heard
after a long time struggling with the arms, because like if you have a guitar and you're trying to play, but you have the armrests of your chair, it's really hard to play guitar because it's like impending on the armrests.
Impeding on it. Yeah.
So I finally found a chair that has like the armrest goes backward, like, and then now I have no armrest.
Yeah.
And I can just play the guitar down here.
I choose my chair via
otherwise you'd have
if I can masturbate easily in it. So like how high the arms are, you know.
We're all looking for different things in a
in our chair. But if you can lean back, your arms are then it's like comfortable, you know. You can drop one hand. I'm just two hands, you know, somebody else, whatever. I'm just joking. I go for good back balance on the chair. Like it's got to have a good solid cushion on the back of the chair for the old broken back.
Like back support.
Speaking of attachments, I got a really cool joystick attachment for the HOTAS that clips to the chair. And so you take the arms of your chair off, mount it onto the chair. They fold up and down. You fold them up. So it's like, boom, put them on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all on
stuck on the chair.
Like fucking Last Starfighter.
Yeah, it's a fully operational battle station.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm using voice attacks. So fire everything.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. It's pretty,
dude, that was so
sweet.
Immersive in Elite when you're just
VR
screaming out like engage.
Dude, voice attacks, the jam. Going. People don't use it, and especially in those kind of games.
I haven't used it in a long time.
Dude, I use it for everything. I'm just like voice attack, play Tory Black video. Play Jenna Hayes.
I'm sure you have a command set up for that. Yeah.
I use voice attack for editing. It's very helpful. You can just set up a macro, you know, say like PC cut and move, and it'll just like and do everything for you. It's pretty sweet. It's definitely helpful. Voice attack's helpful for the really like really confusing where they got a lot of a lot of button combo presses. You could use it for a fighting game. punch. Okay, that'd be tiring.
Oh my god,
that'd be tiring.
No, that's terrible. That is terrible.
But if there was a really hard move, you could just yell like, "Sure you can," you know, hurricane kick, whatever she says.
Yeah.
Carrick's vintage 2000s porn stars, dude. It is true. That is true. I guess that's how you can tell I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to porn. I know like the old people, like Peter North.
Yeah, the old
like
people.
1990s.
Dude, I gotta go to the toilet real quick. Is that okay?
I'll go with you. Yeah, just take the video. I'll wait. Just take the camera with you.
All right, cool.
Yeah, take the webcam with you when you go.
You want me to?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
just go.
Take it. Okay.
Just go.
Yeah.
I can hold these guys accountable for everything. Giving new meaning to the hands-on stick part of HOTAS. Yeah, two hands. Always two hands. All right, what else do we got? Johnny's taking a piss. Johnny's taking the piss. Well, Johnny's gone. Let me tell you how much I dislike that piece of shit, man. His stupid fucking hat. And he's got his guitars and he pretends to be a musician, but I'm just joking. What about you guys? Anybody here play instruments of any kind? Not skin flute. We're talking like guitar, violin, accordion, kazoo, didgeridoo. Anybody play any cool instruments? I tried to learn guitar a couple times, but man, it hurts my fucking back. I haven't been able to really sit down and play it much lately. Been doing a lot of drums. Not good. Not good at all. Like a child, maybe a child that's been in a massive car wreck and has really bad brain damage. That's how I play the drums. It's pretty bad. We have a toilet break now? Yeah, Johnny needs one. Johnny's sort of like, you know, he's weak. My bladder's holding in like 75 Monster Energy drinks. Elijah says, learning guitar at the part where my fingertips hurt. Yes. Yeah, I know those. That sweet agony. It's cool to pull off your first little mini guitar solo, though. Like the first time you do it, feels good. I've been trying to pick up a bunch of stuff, but always been, especially when I talk to Alexa. Okay, it didn't turn on. Elijah Chuck, when I talked to him, I started picking up some more. It did turn on. Alexa, turn off. You got to have a garage with no neighbors if you want a real drum set. Been playing guitar for 30 years. Shit, man. Do you know how crazy it is? So many people just don't follow through with anything for 30 years other than life. Speaking of Transformers, there's talk of a new Michael Bay one. Oh, my God. I wish somebody else would take over Transformers. Well, we'll have to see. I play some stuff, guitar, piano, accordion, flute, all recreationally, writing a new guitar song right now I'm excited about. I make up tunings and fingerpick. Damn, look at you. Man, I'm trying to think. If I could pick up anything, it would probably be, this is going to sound weird for me. Well, piano's awesome. I love violin, though. If I could play really good violin, or like if you could magically choose an instrument to play well, I think a lot of people would probably choose guitar or drums. I would choose, or maybe piano, I guess. I would choose violin. I absolutely love the sound of a violin. They were talking bad about
I would love
curb it. I don't know. They were calling you a wuss for not being able to sit through the entire podcast, you know, stuff like that.
Okay, to be fair.
Oh God.
In most of the last podcasts, I stuck it out like a champ.
You mean, oh, I thought you meant like stuck it out like
longer
porta potty and just went while we were talking.
Longer than a Call of Duty game.
Isn't that crazy that Call of Duty's main campaign was that short?
It
makes you wonder like what goes into those. I think with campaigns and single player games, 8 hours is a good. I like 8 hours. I think 8 hours feels like the $60.
That feels
8
good.
hours. It's like feels like a return.
Yeah, I think no matter what the game is or how incredible, if you're paying like $60 and you're getting under 4 hours, it's gonna feel bad.
Do you know what makes me feel bad? We just said $60. Most are 70 now.
Oof. Yeah, true.
You know?
Yeah, it does make you think twice now. When you look at that, like, damn, dude, full price?
Especially when there's so much on sale or there's there's other ways to get your entertainment and stuff like that, whether it be Steam sales or pawn shop, whatever it may be. I haven't gone to a pawn shop in years. I have no clue. I would assume most games aren't even resellable anyway. So I haven't gone to a GameStop in years either. When was the last time you went to a game store?
Yeah. Wow.
It's been half a
decade.
like
a couple of years, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Might even be longer since the last time I went.
They're just not really a thing.
And if they are, I think they're more for your midnight, maybe your physical purchase, like your special premiums with a statue.
Yeah.
You don't want to ship it through Amazon. Which is
or
weird
like a console
Amazon
pre-order.
Or a console
type thing.
Console, yeah. Console? What the fuck was I trying to say there? A console? I don't know where I was going.
But those were cool, man. Like back in the day, you would go there, and that's how you would find out about new games too, because not everything was, available. You didn't have all the information. So you'd go there, you'd see, whoa, okay, all this stuff, and you'd find gems like, ooh, what's this game? And
there was also
that was
the augmented girl that was always in there that was really a 6, but you thought she was a 10 because she liked games.
Definitely.
So like she was augmented somehow. And I'm sure the same goes for girls going in there as a guy who liked games and they like games and it was so unique. Because I grew up when just, you wouldn't hear girls talking about games. So and I bet you, I had friends who were girls who did, but they didn't talk about it. So at the time it was such a unique thing to go in.
It's like, this is the one girl in my town that likes video games.
Yeah. Just like it's
this is my one shot.
Who watches porn. Yeah. Right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Don't go to your wife's. Don't go to your wife's internet history. Is all I'm saying, because she's probably seeing shit that's going to put you to shame. Just saying. What else do we got for games, man? We got anything cool? I did get a new keyboard. Got a $5 membrane. Love it. Cheapest. I got the cheapest keyboard I could get. It was $4.99, and it was on sale. It was a membrane from a company with a name like Chingadong, I think, or Chicks-a-dong or something. Chinese for sure. It was like Chicks X a dong. Oh, geez. That's not on purpose. That is what it is. It's like Chicks-a-dong. I don't know
That's crazy.
what's going on. But anyway, yeah. So I bought this membrane keyboard for silent gaming, like when people are around stuff and you don't want the clickies.
So membrane like
yeah, the fatty
pseudo
thick rubber
flexible.
under it. Yeah, so it's just like it's so nice, man. Love that thing. I mean, I don't like it better than a clicky clacky, but it's still pretty nice to have a quiet one when you're trying to type, somebody's trying to sleep or whatever, That was nice. And it's going to be time to buy a new mouse. You can't see it, but on the white, I've rubbed that off with my thumb. It's supposed to be gray all the way down. But I've been just like when I play, speaking of that, dude, so this popped up. This is a real question. Are you a wrist player for mouse games or are you an elbow player? Meaning, do you have your elbow up and you're using your whole arm, or do you have your elbow down and using your wrist?
That's a great question. So I'm fully a wrist player. I use Logitech Superlight 2, and my wrist is completely still, and I'm just like my arm is completely still, and I'm just moving my wrist.
Have you seen the accuracy tests on that? Accuracy tests.
No.
So here's what I read. It's one test. Well, it's one test with a ton of data, but it's just one test. But if you put your wrist down and you play basically with your fingers and your wrist moving the mouse, there are micro adjustments that the fingers do that your entire arm does not do. And if you videotape at a high FPS, moving from left to right with just your wrist, and then you lift your hand up, your entire arm, and do it, you will notoriously be much smoother with just your arm, with the entire arm, because of the way the arm moves versus the fingers. Yeah. So I did that test, and holy shit, was it eye-opening. It was true. There were little places where there was like a mini stutter where the thumb stops pushing or pushes harder and the fingers pull up so that there's no resistance, or that the wrist gets to the end and the thumb finishes so that you get to the end of your screen. But where the hand does not do that. However, stopping discreetly is harder when you have the elbow up. So stopping discreetly on something takes way more finesse and timing. But I thought that was quite interesting. Yeah. And when I recorded, I wanted to see. And it's true. I can stop much better if I'm using my fingers and my wrist, but it is much less smooth at certain ends of the movement than if I have my entire hand up. I'd like to know what gamers who are pro gamers do.
Yeah, I know it depends very much on the type of game. Like, for example, shooters. And this was something you taught me when I think we played Call of Duty at some point. And you told me, like, hey, best to have a lower sensitivity that your range of movement is bigger, right? So you have more precision. That's completely the opposite in something like League, what I play, where you know, like,
because
you're really looking for a small movement. Yeah, it's like, going all over the place, and you want really accurate movements that you can kind of only get with your wrist, because your full arm will kind of be like too big of a movement for that type of sensitivity. So that's why I've kind of gone towards that. But I think for the shooting stuff, I could see like having the full arm be a much more,
I'm sure it's training,
reliable.
Too. Yeah. Just because I sit like
I think you could get really good with either.
Yeah.
As well. I don't think one limits you too much.
I did also find they were talking to people who play straight on or play at an angle. So the closer in your mouse is to the center of body, obviously the more control you'll have, because you're not at the extents at the very ends. And so mine is pretty far to my right. Like right now when I'm talking to you, if I'm leaning my left shoulder, only one little pad of my elbow or even my wrist is on there. It's almost all finger, movements. When I'm playing games, I have noticed I move my keyboard to the left more, and I put the keyboard closer, or I put the mouse close to center of body. But yeah, it's just interesting stuff that I was reading, and I didn't know how people play, because I've seen a lot of people do the lift up I call it it's a velociraptor, but where
The claw.
they have their elbow down. So listen to this. This is, I even in our group, I've seen it. Elbow down, wrist still resting though, and they use both. So they go like this and then use their fingers for the last little bit. So yeah, it's just weird, man. There's so many different ways to control.
Yeah. And then you have the ways to grip the mouse. You have like the claw, which is kind of like
I
over,
grip it like
but your palm is,
this.
Yeah,
somewhat,
me too.
I guess.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm grabbing this sucker. Like my palm is resting on it.
Dude, I've seen people grab this mouse. I can't even do it, but they grab this mouse and they palm it. And then they wrap their fingers like this. So their fingers are almost touching. I can't even hold it like that. And then they put it down.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah. So and that lets you hit this button, which is a bitch. I hate this button on this
Yes.
mouse because my thumb isn't long enough and I have to but I use it for push to talk. So when I'm in the Discord, I can play games and then sort of click that and push to talk and then unclick it. But yeah, there's always different ways. What does everybody use inside of chat? Because I'd actually be interested. What else do we got? Do we have anything good? I'm going to go to the news see if there's any leaks. Is there a GTA delay? Nope. PlayStation 5 ROM keys were leaked. I don't know if you saw that. So it makes it a little easier for them to hack it. I have a feeling the PlayStation 5 is going to get hacked before anything. It feels like they're aiming pretty hard at it. Oh, and Asus announced price hikes from January 5th on. Asus just announced price hikes. Let's see.
Damn.
Global demand. This is what I was pointing out. It's not just what you think. It's also NAND and SSDs. After carefully reviewing the supply stability and our commitments, starting January 25th, this adjustment is necessary. Oh, they didn't say how much. So I guess the ROG Ally X would go up, right? The handhelds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get a chance, what is July 5th? You have 4 days, my friends. 4 days to go out there and get yourself something that,
Get in there.
Get in there.
What do you think is the future for handhelds? Do you think it's going to go more towards the streaming or continue to be native like we're seeing?
I think so Rory, as well as the guy, Matt, who does the video game breakdowns of video game numbers, MPD numbers, he'll break down. They were both saying that there's an upper echelon of gamers, a majority of gamers who haven't felt the discrete hit yet, or they didn't when they were talking about this, which is like your November, December timeframe. And then now they're starting to see it. In all honesty, I think people are going to just have to become accustomed to like the handhelds that we have and the power supply, the power numbers that we have. There'll probably be more of a definitive idea of people getting close to what they want versus the top end. I don't think they're going to go to streaming. People will stream, but it might be local. So you're streaming from your PC to your handheld, which works great. I mean, it's imperceptible. I don't necessarily think like GeForce Now and stuff will magically get a huge number of people because a lot of people still have the same caveats. They don't own the games well, you do because you're still getting them off of Steam, but the hardware's not local. All the stuff that you might hear from gamers. And also Xbox isn't up to the task of streaming yet. The Xbox Live PlayStation is pretty okay, but it's still not got, what it needs to. And then the rumors are that the PlayStation 6 portable, let's call it that, the portable whatever that PlayStation is looking at, the rumors about that is that they're also looking at a bunch of low power devices versus super high power. So
interesting.
Yeah, I think we're going to probably see a lot of devices stick around the same. I like the Strix, which is what I have in the mini PC. I don't see people wanting those in handhelds too much. They're in handhelds, but I think people are going to be like, no way, it costs too much, for what you get. Because they just require so many watts, Johnny. Once you start getting the mini PCs I talk to people about are low power and they're great. But the mini PCs we're talking about in the future, super expensive. And I think that people are just going to step away from it. Everybody in this chat, not my wife. Oh, when I was talking about watching porn. Yeah, sure. Lombardo says, I moved my whole forearm. Desk has to be low enough to do that. That's a good point. My desk is high. So wrist is how
Same.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe I should lower my desk and see how that works. Eternal says, hope you have a really cushy elbow rest. I used to tear up my elbows playing MMOs. Bro, playing MMOs or playing Pornhub. I don't know how you're tearing up your elbow on that, but okay, whatever. If people came onto the podcast right now, what would they think? They'd think it's a normal podcast. It's just, yeah, I just got Bad Seed's new rest thing. Works great. Can you tell me more about that? Bad Seed also did a great breakdown on the Amazon speakers. I'm not going to say the name. I use all 5 buttons effortlessly. 5 buttons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think I've had a 5-button mouse in ages. Used to be a keyboard mouse player, but have started using controller a lot more. 2026 is going to be a huge year for gaming. Streaming handhelds are practically useless to me. The future is digital either way, even though there will still be collectors willing to pay a fortune to stay as physical as possible. 2026 games I'm looking forward to: Neo 3, Soulframe, Crimson Desert, and finally trying out Arc Raiders. Lombardo says he used my Steam Deck mostly offline. Crimson Desert looks cool. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, Crimson Desert.
Dude, I'm surprised that we haven't seen something from NVIDIA like the older, they had like a portable thing.
Yeah, the GeForce Shield,
what the,
or the Shield device. I have
Shield.
I have it. Yeah, it's a 7-inch tablet. Yeah. Well,
right.
Here's the thing, though, Johnny. You're fighting iPad. You're fighting iPads. You're fighting Android devices that stream and that are pretty powerful. Like, it's pretty tough, you know.
Yeah, because I was thinking if they had like a flagship device that could use GeForce Now really well, that could be really cool. But I guess everything can use it. Anything that can run a browser.
I mean, dude, my Fire Stick runs at 4K 60, and it is fantastic for GeForce. Now, like, it's ridiculous. That's how I beat Cyberpunk for the video that we did a couple years ago. Was just playing on that. It's everything uses it. I don't think they'd want to lock themselves down. But the big problem would be the cost. Now, what if they did announce one? That thing would be $1,000.
Yeah,
I don't know. What's everybody's? Admittedly, somebody's going to say, I don't want a handheld. I get it. If you did want a handheld, what's your price point for a handheld? Let's say the handheld can run Linux or Windows and run most games pretty well. What's your price limit for a handheld? My price limit for a handheld that I would ever suggest would be probably $499. Once you get above that, I'm not saying I wouldn't still suggest when I'd start talking more about how to use it as a desktop, but I'm talking about pretty much a handheld. I think that's the Switch 2's price, quite close to the Switch 2. I can't remember if it's $499 or $560, but what's yours? 500, 400 is what I'm saying. What's yours, Johnny, for like a handheld? Like if I said the price of a handheld, what would you say? That might be interesting. No hesitate. Like that could be interesting. Let me check it out.
Yeah. I don't have any games that I can't play on my Steam Deck that I would like to play, because by definition, anything that's really high detail, I want to just play on PC.
Okay.
So it's going to be mostly maybe indie, maybe, smaller games that I would play there.
Right.
And the Switch is even less games because I would only play Nintendo games. I'm not looking to play third party simply because of the price. You have to pay usually the full price on the Nintendo store. So right now it's a hard sell because I'm already covered on the portable side, so I can't see myself spending $400 or $500. But if you told me, hey, it's an OLED screen, it's bigger, it's more comfortable than the Steam Deck, blah blah blah, and you can play games better than that, and it's something like $500, I would look into it. I would be in the market for it, probably. But I think once you go above 500, it's very difficult to look at buying something like that.
Especially if you're okay with utilitarian purchasing, which is where you get yourself a USB cell phone or tablet controller that's in the shape of a PlayStation or an Xbox, and you're talking $130 to stream every game from your PC. It
gets you 80%, 90% there.
I would say I like my Legion because of comfort, but I still play a great deal of games on the $130 device, which is 10-inch screen and a fake Xbox controller that holds it. And it's just like, dude, it's imperceptible, except it's a bigger screen. And by the way, even old tablets may have a better screen than current handhelds because they have to short money. So you can go and buy an older handheld or an older tablet that has USB-C out. And as long as it's got a pretty good Wi-Fi signal, or you want to plug it into a connector, but whatever. If somebody wants a handheld, I probably wouldn't suggest any handheld. I'd just be like, dude, just get an older tablet and, one that's got the speed of Wi-Fi that you want, and then grab a USB attachable controller and be done with it, because that works in and of itself. And then you can do all the other shit that you want to do, and you've saved $400, or 300, and I think that turns out to be $360 you'd save. You can buy some games or get some good earbuds, or whatever you want to get. Yeah. I use my PS5 Pro and Nintendo Switch 2, and that is trying to read this. I use my PS5 Pro and Nintendo Switch 2, and that is it. Nothing else. I use my PlayStation 5 Pro and Nintendo Switch 2. I think he just repeated himself on accident. Okay, makes sense. What would people want from a handheld to pay a premium price, close to $1,000? It would have to have a 10.1-inch screen, magnetic, the newer, not Hall effect, but the brand new thumbstick controls. It would have to have great buttons on the back. It would have to have a detachable or internal battery and detachable so that I can switch it out. And they have to fix cooling because all these devices get really hot. Really hot.
Yeah.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
Do you care about the...
Go ahead.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, it would be,
because it's
awesome.
Still annoying.
It is. Yeah. What were you saying though?
Do you care about the refresh rate? Do you want like a 120 hertz display?
So 60 probably isn't the best because even GeForce Now goes above 60, all that kind of stuff. I would say 90 seems to be a good number on PC, but most don't do 90 on handhelds. It's like 120 or 60, it's like 120 or above.
Yeah.
So 120 would be great. Like 120 would be, and then VRR would be great.
With variable.
Yeah. And just be done with it. If anything higher than 120 on a handheld, even at a 10.1 screen, is negligible. 120 is going to be
like placebo.
That's going to be, that's going to be because you're already doing it wireless probably anyway. So there's all these kind of things. So 120 would be great. And then what I would really want, I care more about. Now, admittedly, I understand the desire for OLED. I think there's other technologies that I'm hoping for in the future. I want a bright one because de facto handheld to me means I might be using it in unique places. So let's say a train that's bright or an office that's bright. I notoriously am unhappy with handheld/laptops brightness. Notoriously. My phone is so bright that I was blown away. It was, by the way, I didn't use the flashlight, Johnny. I used the screen to find something on my floor. That's how bright that fucking thing is. It's like it's a beam, right? So I would love that in a handheld. Brightness matter. I can turn down I don't want it to be old LED tech, but there's new tech coming up. Even OLED is looking like it's on its way out. There's various other techs that are equal to with darks, but that go way brighter, they don't have OLED stutter and all the issues that affect OLED. And I've got to test a couple and I love them. So yeah, I would like that. Brightness matters, man, because I could be playing it right here where there's lights, and then I could be playing at my bed, turn it down. But if you can't turn it up, then you're automatically hampered with, wherever you go. So
like your significant other is cooking, so they have the lights on, and now you're trying to play this and can't see anything.
But I will say I'm using handhelds. I'm using every device a lot. How about that? I think that's where I come from, is that I've been using the mini PCs as main PCs almost all through 2025. I've been using the handhelds through all of 2025. I've been using streaming for all of 2025. I think that's the new type of gaming. That's why I was saying something that changes everything seems to be less of a chance because you don't want one thing anymore. You do want to be able to do everything.
Options.
Yeah.
Everywhere,
and
whatever.
Especially these games that offer, like Marvel Rivals, that offer a 10-minute gaming experience. If somebody takes a long shit, they're on the toilet playing it. Somebody's in bed playing it. Next person's on the couch playing it. Next person's out on a train playing it. Next person's on a bus playing it. You want to, then you come home and you want to play it, like you said, at high fidelity. We want it everywhere. I just don't see a device. I mean, obviously Switch 2's done great, even though it's tailed off here pretty quickly in sales. But I think overall, you look at it, it just makes sense to have a bunch of ways to deliver your content. That's why when the streaming from the console, Johnny, to the handhelds became sort of a thing, that was exciting as shit. Because then the PC could be off. My PC is like 2,000 fucking watts. It's got like, 600 watt PSU. It's like, why does that need to be on?
Yeah.
All my power conditioners, you turn all that off. You stream from your Xbox or your PlayStation to a handheld at high fidelity. That's pretty fucking sweet. It's
more silent, maybe. If you don't need the actual utility from the PC.
Yep, it's really good. And that's where I think everybody's going to go. I mean, there's always going to be these smaller things, but look at consoles, man. They're going to a price to where it used to be a joke. Remember how we'd hear people say, just buy a PC? And I'd be like, fucking shut up, man. Like, when you look at the price, it just doesn't make sense. You don't jump from 400 to 15 or 2,500. That's ridiculous. So a person who's looking and aiming at a PC, whenever I'd see somebody to be like, just buy a PC, dude, come on. But consoles are raising in price. And so now there's a weird question of, do you even get anything? I do think that is a question that people are, and that might be where you hear somebody worry about streaming. I don't worry about streaming. I think that might be a savior for a lot of people. Like, some people see it a negative. Oh my God, GeForce Now. Everybody's gonna be streaming from GeForce Now. No, they're not. People still buy vinyl. That's a bad example, but what I mean is there's always going to be people who want, including myself, to play locally, all that kind of stuff. I don't see it as a negative. I see it as a positive. Somebody can play a game that they bought and they want to play that game anywhere. More chances of doing that, the better. That's the cool part about it. I wish Switch 2 offered more deals on their games. I'd probably want to get one.
That's the main problem. I would like to play it more, but you're kind of locked to the Nintendo games. Yeah.
And if you buy, like you said, if you buy their port or whatever, it's always full priced, or most always full priced. Not always, but most of the time.
And a lot of times, like for me, the worst part is that I already own the games very often.
Yeah.
So it will be a game I already have on Steam. Yeah, it's secondary. And like, dude, I'd love to play that on Nintendo Switch, but now not only do I have to purchase it twice, but the second time is going to cost me way more than even the first, because there are always sales you can get on PC and stuff. Whereas that stuff is always up there.
The negative of streaming is not owning hardware. I don't want to live in a world where I can't own my PC. If there's a world where you can't, it's China. You're never going to be forced to not own. I mean, you'll be dead by the time that kind of stuff goes on. It's not a negative. That's quite literally just a way for somebody to be able to play it. It's not evil or good. The issue with that is that the industry might use it as a reason to force people to use their subscription instead of owning. Yeah, if we believe that the industry has one thought, I don't think the industry, I think the history suggests that the industry not only doesn't have one thought, they have competing thoughts, and competition consistently causes people to offer different things. We have not in our history seen a forced of anything, really. The only thing I would say forced would be storage, causes the forcing to Blu-ray, and Blu-ray storage isn't big enough. And so now Blu-ray Consortium hasn't made a new disc. And honestly, I don't know if I want a disc. I like the idea of it, but overall, I still buy some games, and I still a lot of times like to have the digital version because the CD I just don't trust. If there were, the other thing is like console. We saw it with the Switch 2, where the memory isn't big enough on the some of those, whatever you call them, cards. So you have like just the game executable on the card, and you're sort of
And for some people, it's a big difference to be able to go in and play day one without having to like spend a lot of money. Because if you're going to buy your GPU and everything, you're spending a great amount of money up front to get running. But with the streaming thing, you can say, well, listen, I'm gonna play through that for some months while maybe I'm saving up for a PC. Maybe that's a good stopgap for people. Maybe for some people that becomes their main way to play. But there isn't an incentive for them to stop doing the physical thing. I don't think that's still part of their business, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's obviously still part of their business because they've switched to handhelds now. Like they definitely want it. I think also when you look at it, now in our LAN group, we have a bunch of people who do not have physical PCs at all. They have like a Fire Stick. They watch some shows. They use GeForce Now, which they buy the game, so they still own the game. And that's not evil or good. That's quite literally just. It is just a thing. Dominic says, people are too quick to label different options good or bad or evil based on their personal likes. Yeah, there's also this idea that everybody can agree to do a particular thing, and we haven't seen it anywhere really in history where people agree that run companies. They all want to offer their own thing. Look at what just happened. The top-selling console was that, or not top-selling, one of the top-selling consoles was that little baby Kinect 4-camera thing I talked about a couple months ago. It's sold really well. Completely separate bit of hardware that's locking people into that hardware. And that's the other thing. You'll get people going like, I don't want to be locked into a console, right? You'll hear that. Exclusives are bad. You'll be like, okay, well then we'll have it everywhere. Well, having it everywhere is bad. And you're like, all right, so is bad the right word? I feel like bad, evil, good are no longer the right words. Well, they probably never were.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a situation where
I get the fear of like, hey, we're going towards not owning anything and just paying subscriptions for everything. It's almost like a Black Mirror episode. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think the incentive, even for the companies, if you assume they are evil and they want to do like the most conniving thing, I don't think the incentive is even there for them to want to only have the one option. I think they want to have multiple avenues of making money, whether it's selling you the hardware or renting you different hardware through virtualization, all this type of stuff. It's all different avenues for them to make money.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can fear an asteroid, but I think the asteroid has a higher chance of happening than every single company getting together and agreeing on something that is for
like
exactly
some big cabal
reasons.
of like,
well, it would be you'd have to literally mind meld 1,000 CEOs and say you can't compete whatsoever. You're not allowed to compete anymore in this area. You're not, because that is what it would require. Because anytime there is an opening in an industry, this is what I did. Anytime there's an opening in an industry or market, do you know what happens? They don't all agree on one thing. Somebody new comes in. And what did we just get? The new device that's like a Kinect that a bunch of kids and parents are buying that sold really well. Because at that time, the prices of the consoles went up. People bought that. There was a new competitor that was entered in. That is quite literally how it occurs. That's how we've got handhelds from different companies. That is the market. That is the way it is. And all those things are hardware that they get to sell you, and they get to do a markup on those too. So it's not like they don't get to make money on those. But I think the idea that magically trying to get, let's bring it down to like the top companies that could make a device that was exclusive. It's probably 10 to 15 countries in the world. It's probably easier now, but let's say 10 or 15 companies. If you remove exclusives from them, meaning they don't have a developer that's a first party and they use exclusive money to get third parties, or maybe they have second party, which is a little bit more rare, you would still go against whatever's happened ever in human history. It just doesn't happen. That's not the way it works. And it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked in any other industry. People still release records. Matter of fact, I should know, I just bought 3 records for Christmas for somebody. So
yeah,
it's just not going to go away. I mean, and so I think the fear that everybody can have fear, but it's almost the same thing as concern trolling, where we used to have it, where people would be like, oh, I'm really concerned that this exclusive being on this would cause this. And it's like, I'm not 100%. I mean, if that's true and I worry about that, I would have to worry about 1,000 other things in my life that aren't even about games that I'd have to worry about, you know.
Yeah, and rationally speaking, even if you think about the companies are as like self-interested, which we should think that way, for them, it makes sense to As long as there's a market for something, they want to get a chunk of that market.
Yeah.
Right? That's like basic. So if there is a market, and there will continue to be, as you say, for physical owned hardware, they want to get their chunk of that market. It wouldn't make sense for them to like step away from it.
Yeah. Do you know what's surprising to me too? When GeForce first came out and OnLive came out and Genki came out, I was one of the first people to try them out. Unacceptable. And I just never thought they'd be I just never thought they would be possible to get, you know, that kind of even really enjoyable bitless or looking good bit rate. Now, of course, the internet had to speed up. Somebody mentioned Stadia. When they went all streaming, they did it too early. You saw a lot of companies trying that too early. And now to like come in #1 on multiple Call of Duty games and be like, what the fuck, while on streaming. That's so cool for people who don't have the cash to, or maybe don't even want to play as long as I want to play. You know, those kind of things. I would like to see more competitive. There's 4 streaming game competitors. Obviously, GeForce is the highest. I also saw some companies renting basically the same thing you and I've done, or Reg has done in the past, where you rent basically rent a server, but they're renting a PC for short. So they have a Steam account. They don't have hardware at all. And then they just rent hardware when they want to play it. I thought that was actually quite interesting as a way of doing it. I think people are just changing the way they imbibe stuff too. But you know what's interesting? When I always hear the movie or TV stuff and streaming, I stream a lot, but I still buy some DVDs. And almost everything I want to buy is still available, which I guess surprised me too. I was surprised by the amount of stuff I streamed still being available on DVD, probably because I hear the echo that's like, oh, everything's gone. You can't buy anything. So when I did go to buy stuff, I was quite surprised that I could buy a bunch of the stuff.
Like instantly available.
Bro, it was weird. I can't remember what it was, but it was only on streaming for a while, and I couldn't find it on streaming. I was like, that sucks. And I went to Amazon, and they weren't streaming it, but I typed it in to see if I could stream it, and the DVD was like $9, which, by the way, this is a show I've watched so many times. I'm sure I've spent more than that on streaming just because I mostly watch that. So I was like, oh, shit, I can. And then started looking. It's like all the new movies, all that stuff. I was like, oh, okay, it's not really gone. But it feels like it's gone unless you go look, you know, which makes sense, I guess. Let's see. What do we got? You're being priced out because of economical reasons, not technological ones. Streaming isn't causing the price increase. Oh, yeah, no, streaming isn't causing the price increase. In fact, I don't know if anybody saw this, especially because as somebody who tracks AI and works a shit ton on that side, I was actually quite surprised to see 3 more companies trying to enter the DRAM market. So there's a Chinese company doing it, and then 2, obviously the ones I've already talked about, 2 that are Western. So hopefully that price will drop. I don't think DRAM will ever drop to the old price, though. I could be wrong on that. They could flood the market too, and we could get DRAM being low. DRAM's been high before, not this high, but DRAM's been high before. Many things have been high and low, and you know, go up and down. But it looks like multiple. Oh, by the way, this is another indication of you don't just let companies who are controlling something be the only one. The moment people saw that there was an opening in the DRAM market, what did they do? Start talking about opening fabs to take some of that money so that they can sell it. And it'll drop the price. They will drop the price. I mean, I think people also mistake the fact that developers, software engineers, everybody working in the industry doesn't want DRAM to be this expensive. Everybody was taken by shock that we were all. It was so funny to always hear this because you and I've talked about this. Like a monopoly by attrition is what happened with DRAM. Multiple companies were not making much money on DRAM, so one company started encroaching more and more and more and more. And now when it's raised up, we're all sitting there going, "Fuck," you know. So hopefully those companies start up quick and we can get some more DRAM in our hands. People don't have to pay. What was it? 1,000 for 256? No,
God,
I think it's 1,000 for 128. Did you also notice the hilarious thing? I saw some people who have 16 and they're like, I can't believe I can't buy 128. And I was like, were you going to? Were you planning on buying 128?
Oh, dude, yeah.
And because whenever I used to bring up 128, everybody'd be like, dude, that's too much memory.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And I'm like, well, guess who bought it before this shit, dummy? But no, regardless of that, all joking aside, it is crazy that I've seen a craze to buy it at the high price. And I'm like, what are you doing? That's like buying Bitcoin
You
because
didn't need
it
it
went up
before.
Yeah.
You're
It's like,
only
dude,
now aware of it.
Yeah, why buying it when it's raising? Give it a year where it's dropping down. You already thought you were fine. I saw somebody last night who was like, okay, so this new PC only has 32 gigs. And I'm like, only? The fucking, you're fine. Just get it. Don't even stress about that. I wouldn't want 16, but I do a bunch of shit. If it was a lean machine, 16 would probably be fine as long as you can upgrade it. But it is funny how many people are jumping on it like a Bitcoin when it's high. They hear about it in the news and they're like, I better buy Bitcoin. And you're like, dude, that's quite literally how you lose everything, is by buying when you hear about it. The moment you hear about anything on the web, that is not when you jump in. Anybody will tell you that. Stocks, Tor browser. If you ever hear anybody say the deep web is the place to go if you want drugs, do you know who's telling you that? Probably the FBI. That's when I saw that all the time. People are like, what's this dark web? And I'm like, dude, you're learning about it right now. That indicates everybody knows about it. Trust me, that is not when you want to jump into something. Like, this is not, don't do it. Don't do it. Sometimes people don't appreciate something until it's unattainable. Yeah, that's true. I do think that we're buying ourselves into a hole too, where a bunch of people are buying memory they don't need right now, so that next year when it's even leaner, it'll go up even more, and you'll have even more crying, not crying like boo-hoo, but crying's not even the problem, but worry, when in real life we have now bought ourselves into an even worse problem, which is why some of the hardware manufacturers were like, we're going to leave our systems at a certain price for a while so people can buy it. And admittedly, I told others about it, but let's be honest. Do you know what that was? That was to get people to make a run on those purchases. They weren't stupid. Asus said we're going to raise our prices on the 5th. Why? Because that gives them 4 days to make a lot of sales at these already higher prices. Yeah. Now that is, I don't think that's a conspiracy. That's a solid business plan. I mean,
that's just clever. It's just good business.
Clever. But
good
what
business.
you as like a buyer needs to do is not buy into that. You know, that's almost like a Instagrammer or somebody telling you, about a new pair of earbuds. It doesn't mean you have to buy it. Yeah. Investigate it. Then decide.
Something you definitely didn't need before you heard about it, and nothing changed. Yeah. After you heard about it, you still don't need it very often.
Yeah. It's very cool to see the companies jumping into DRAM stuff, though. I was like, I think WF Tech did 2 or 3 articles on some of the new companies jumping forward, and I know of at least another one that's looking at it. And they're not only jumping forward for consumer RAM, probably for AI RAM, but the AI RAM thing, they're even changing how what systems use RAM in certain ways. There's like 6 models now that don't use a ton of RAM. And a lot of people who are making models want that to go, want to go that way too, where you're hinging less on the RAM and hinging more on like interconnectivity and speeds between different things. There's like 16 models now, where everybody who talks about AI is still talking about like LLMs and tokenizers. Those are on their way out. Like, those are completely on their way out. There's all kinds of systems now where they're like 7 billion parameters that outperform 32 billion parameter models because people have already figured out efficiencies. Now, you know how it is. Back in the day, you'd have a car with 500 horsepower that couldn't beat a car now that's got 160 with a turbo. You just, like the way that things were done and the changes and adjustments we're getting. Buy the hardware when you need it. Yeah. But I will say this. We could be gone tomorrow unless you subscribe to ACG. I can't even say it without a straight face. I can't even
if you want to live.
If you want to live, if you don't want ACG to die of starvation. Do I look like I'm fucking starving? No. Do any of these YouTubers look like they're starving? No. Maybe I should get like a filter and make it look like I'm slowly wasting away. That is the Patreon for us. I can offer you a couple things. Johnny's in there. I'm in there. A bunch of other people are in there. We have a good time. And I'm not going to bullshit you even if you think that would make you feel better. I don't give a fuck about that. Straight talk is what we'll give. Hopefully you guys like that. You can jump in there. If you don't want to, I appreciate it. And I may die because you don't jump in. Shit happens, right? Johnny may die tomorrow if you don't jump in.
True. And most importantly, you're missing out on the voice chats, the private shows.
Private shows.
The bareback. Nah, there's no.
What the fuck? Was not expecting that from you. The gazer. We'll talk about we do have some amazing chats. Dude, we spent like 4 hours a couple days ago breaking down like science and all like talking about, Void was in there. We were talking about like fucking asteroids and stuff. And then the very next moment we were talking about Chappelle. I was like, this is the way it should be. That is awesome. Like, it's definitely been an amazing improvement having Discord. Thanks to Reg. Reg has now saved me twice. Discord, because I was using Patreon to talk to people, and then Telegram. He's helped me twice. Will I pay him back? Fuck no. Fuck no. Lucitan's in there. Lucitan's in there. If you want to hear somebody who only likes one game and can't figure out why you like anything that he doesn't like, Lucitan's right there. Leap on in. You can hear him talk about how Diablo's terrible. Diablo 4 is bad. My God. To be that much of a hater. I'm just joking. What does he like? Path of Exile? That's the one he likes, right?
Yep.
If you play anything but Path of Exile, you're going to hear about it from Lucitan. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, will Johnny short circuit or just explode? None of that. Johnny would probably fade away. Johnny doesn't seem like you aren't a guy who wants to go out in a blaze of glory, right? You just like to listen to some good grooves and just slowly
just
peter
like
out.
In bed after a good read.
When's the last time anybody heard from Abzi? 3 days ago? I think he was in chat a bunch. He was talking about no, that was he was in chat 3 days ago, but I was going to say Evil West, but that was a Moodski. What the fuck were we talking about with Abzi? Talking about software and some games. I can't remember. He's in there all the time now. He just isn't on here. He's fucking, what time is it now? It's 2 for me. It's 5. What time is it for you, Johnny?
And for me, it's 10 p.m. I think for him, it's maybe even midnight.
It's midnight or 1 for Abzi. Yeah. Yeah. And I will let Johnny go because of that. I forgot how late it is. We've been going now.
I have one last question for you.
Oh, yeah.
For today.
Yeah, let's go.
Because it's like New Year's. Do you have any, maybe not New Year's resolutions, because I think you don't do those, but anything you want to do differently or new this year? Whether it's like on YouTube or your personal life, anything you've reflected on?
What about you? Do you have any? I'm trying to think.
Some of it is keep doing what I've been doing with like working out 3 times a week is really important for me, trying to keep that. And reading a bit every day. So even if it's not a lot, I'm like, building the habit. That's really important to me, keeping those 2 things up. And then just build on them, instead of reading only 20 minutes, read 40. And then like the workouts, lift a bit heavier, maybe go longer and gradually become better at those things.
I'm more of a careful of. So no, I don't really have anything big, but I am very conscientious of burnout of other people that I'm seeing. And I've gone the opposite way, especially in 2025, where I noticed I was like even more carefree. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. I think my big thing that I thought about everything that I do in December when I plan out the next year adjustments is all about making sure I hold on to that. So I'm not really adding anything. I mean, I'm going to do some different type of videos that I want to do or whatever. But I think right now with all the chaos that you see in YouTube and all the weirdness and the clickbait, all that kind of stuff we've talked about, mine is just, okay, make sure that that in 2025 starting or 2026 starting of, by the time I get to 2027 starting of, I haven't lost that. Because somebody asked me that a couple days ago. They're like, holy shit, you're always in here. You're always talking about games. Are you worried about burning out? And I'm pretty seriously I'm seriously wondering if I removed games outside of work and all that stuff, or stuck to a couple, if I would be burned out. Right now, the way I do things, I do them very blurty. So if you guys are playing games, I'm like, well, I'll play a game. I'll talk to you guys. I know some people pull back, or they're like, we don't want whatever the term is for like you're friends with a fan or what, or a fan, or I'm the opposite, where because I feel that there's something to be said for like knowing somebody or checking up on somebody, even if it can cause you difficulties. So I'm just very guardianship over how 2025's worked out, which I've been very happy. The channel's done well. I mean, you always want millions of sellers, but I'm very like, I'll look and I'll see my views and I'll look and see reviews and go, okay, things are not going so well on YouTube, but they are going well here or there. And then also more Patreon stuff. Like I did the little snippet of the upcoming preview for just patrons where I just did 2 or 3 minutes and cut it up and put it in there. I've never been great at offering patrons, like I offer them other stuff and that's cool. But I think that sometimes offering, I can't say here's a review early, but there are some things that I've thought of this year that I haven't done until just December, where I'm like, maybe if I offer patrons, because the patrons always help me and it's always steadily gone down, which is normal unless you do something new or you change. That's just attrition. Yep. But I've been like, maybe I should do this and offer a little bit more. So I would say offer patrons a little bit more. That's not just Discord or not just
something a bit unique, maybe.
No, maybe just something that's more attached to the channel, because normally it hasn't really been that. I've been like, yeah, you can have this or that, and you get a podcast.
So maybe like behind the scenes kind of thing.
Yeah, or just more of the preview things where it's like, okay, I'm going to give these guys a snippet of a video I can. It's just for the last couple years, it's all been reviews, so you can't offer anything. You can't even say what you're working on. But with the preview change I've done, those have worked really well, and I've been like, oh, well, I can offer that early to patrons. Maybe not the full video, but I can offer them a snippet so they know what game I'm covering. That's why lately I've been doing the updates occasionally. I've been like 6 reviews or 6 previews are on their way. So that also, so if I had somebody leave and they're like, well, you haven't done reviews. And I'm like, I wish you were in the Discord so you knew what I was doing. And then I was like, oh, you know what? Patron, maybe I'm not the best at updating that this is, what I'm doing. And they still see it, but I've noticed that if you have like a 1 or 2 week period where even if you post something on YouTube, maybe they don't see it. So just trying to figure something out there. But yeah, long-winded. Yeah, it's difficult, man. It's difficult to know year to year. And like you said, I don't do New Year's Eve. Every day is New Year's Eve. Like if something needs to change, I'll just change versus waiting.
Yeah, we're waiting for the date. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel it's easy to wait and say, I'm going to do this. And then tomorrow you're like,
motivation's gone tomorrow. And like,
fuck that, man.
So something fresh for Patreon.
Yeah,
keeping it also low key with the videos where
lose my mind.
Not too stressed out.
I don't get too stressed out. Yeah. I got to make sure that that's important to me because I got to make this long term. I mean, I've only been doing it 10 years. It's no longer temporary. How long is something not temporary?
Oh, damn. That's almost like philosophical.
That's philosophical. Yeah. How long is something not
isn't
temporary?
Everything temporary?
I feel like it is. I feel like it is for sure. Except for my hatred for Cyberpunk Day 1. Everything is temporary. I think.
True. Yeah. That will remain. Yeah.
That's crazy. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Johnny Plays Live will be streaming tomorrow. What are you going to stream?
I'm not sure yet. Probably some League with the community tomorrow. Yeah, that's probably the plan. So Johnny Plays Live Twitch, stream some League. I stream some other games like Hogwarts at the moment.
All right. And me, more previews and some reviews. Hopefully everybody's off, so we're not getting codes, but I'm continually trying. Anyway, that'll be it for us. Peace out, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye-bye.
Boom. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Carrick has contracted dysentery. I just read that. Oh, that was from the Oregon Trail discussion. Damn.
Oh, yeah.